Yes. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And good morning to Manny as well. Good morning, Manny. Good morning. Good morning. Good
Hey,
morning.
morning.
How the inquest begins. Before I introduce Manny properly, the inquest should have been going for years, by the way, but how the inquest begins, I will start by saying this, guys and girls. This is the last time I ever give the benefit of the doubt to the owners. This is the last time I ever give the benefit of the doubt to Daniel Levy, to Johan Lang, to any of them. They have killed it for me now. I do not trust them. I do not believe them when they sit there together and say they want to win leagues, they want to win Champions Leagues, they want to buy better players, they want to back the manager. I don't believe it. I don't think many do. Manny, good morning.
Morning,
You
mate.
WhatsApped me this morning and you said, sorry, no time for pleasantries, Manny. We're in anger mode, right? You said that you're more angry today than you were last night. What's going on, my man? How you feeling about this?
I am livid, man. I'm livid. Like as I said to you last night, I was watching you guys, and I really wanted to come on. And I was saying to my wife, I was like, these guys are always at the forefront of everything that happens. Actually, big up to them because, mate, I was the way how livid I was yesterday. I was like, I can't even speak. I can't get onto this stream, so I'll just leave it. So I was like, let me just calm myself down, and then this morning, I'll join you at 10:30. Turns out this morning I'm even more livid than yesterday. I found a way because I work in central London, right? But I live in
Yeah.
Cambridge, and throughout the journey, I found a way of getting myself more and more riled up. That by the time I got into the office, I was livid, and my office is full of Arsenal fans as well, which makes it worse. But I think what you said is very key there. It's not just Levy, right? That I don't give the benefit of the doubt to. It's every single one of them. Vinay, that people loaded up, at the start. Lange, all the, Carrington, all these people that I was told is the reason why we're going to be behaving differently. All of them, because you don't run a business this way in any walks of life. If you were to run your business this way, you get sacked. It's an immediate sacking for something as shambolic as this. And all these, and I know you're going to
And
get
fresh
into
off
it.
the back of Morgan Gibbs White, Manny.
Exactly. And bearing in mind, I actually defended Levy on the Morgan Gibbs White
Me
situation
too.
because
Me
I
too.
said, listen, everything that happened, they tried XYZ, but now I'm starting to think and I fully agree with what other people were saying, right? Which was actually maybe what he should have done is gone and spoken to the chairman, the forest chairman, and understood what the requirements or what they wanted for Morgan Gibbs White, and then put in a bid rather than again being opportunistic, trying to find a way through the back door, which is exactly the same thing for the Eze situation. And I understand people will say, "Oh, but Arsenal were in talks, etc." Again, opportunistic. It never is us being ahead of the curb. So
Never.
yeah, I am genuinely, I am livid,
Well, look,
I don't think I've ever felt like this in a very long time.
we'll get into it from the many sides because there are many ways to look at this. And I've been trying to make it very clear. I've already recorded a 25-minute rant video, which will be going live later. But I made it very clear in there. This isn't just about Eze. This isn't about this one footballer. Yes, he is the one I think that everyone wanted. But this is just about how we conduct ourselves in general. This is about Daniel Levy thinking that and this is where Lubo is spot on. He thinks
Literally
that
gonna mention his name.
every negotiation he must win it, rather than what's best over here for the football club and for the fans and for the squad. I must win this. And we'll get into that a bit later. We are inevitably, Manny, overnight, the links and the reports of the number of players that we're now turning to, just being sent to me that You know, Akalush will stay at Monaco as no one's prepared to pay his 70 million euro fee. I'm sorry, Spurs, right now, you've got to pay that fee. If that's the fee you've got to pay, you've got to fucking pay that fee. You've got Dibling. We'll talk about that. Tyler Dibling's name's coming back. Another young kid who's done nothing in football that fans will make videos about pretending he's the savior. You've got El Kanous. I've woken up to Spurs are going to hijack Palace's bid for Elk. Manny, this is the knock-on effect, isn't it? This is what happens, Manny.
So
by the way,
reactionary.
11 days and 7 hours to go.
Yep. And that's the point. But that's the point. That's the point we've made for a very long time, right? Big clubs, which technically we want to put ourselves into based on our revenue, based on everything from that perspective, they don't behave this way. They don't behave this way. Big clubs deal with what their most important issues are early in the window, right? Yeah. And then they worry about what opportunistic deals they can make. Yeah. Big clubs don't wait till the end of the window to try and make the most important signings because everybody knows that you're desperate. Like, and by the way, Savva, I'm not even going into the fact that even if we had got Kudus, Eze, Savinho over the line, the nature of this transfer window by the big five clubs, the five clubs that we are trying to get to aspire to be, I'll say four actually, because obviously United is on the other side, right? Have had the kind of window, the kind of unprecedented window that would have made our window look quite ordinary anyway, right? So to then not to be able to fumble this is so incompetent, man. The one, and this is, by the way, this is the one signing that the entire fan base agreed on would improve us. The one signing, the opportunity cost for us is much greater than how he would even improve Arsenal. We are losing on a much bigger scale than how Arsenal are even gaining from this. And it's like sorry, and that's one last point. The Lubo part is spot on. This is where when you listen to Lubo, you actually understand exactly where he's coming from and exactly why he doesn't want to give this board any benefits of the doubt. Because this is not about, a bigger team has come through, and I know you'll get into it. There's not about no. His release clause, which Arsenal did not want to get near at all up until yesterday when Havertz got injured, has been there all summer. It has been there all summer. I appreciate maybe you wouldn't go for him at the start of the window because Arsenal were sniffing around. But if I could put two and two together after Arsenal bought Gyökeres and Madueke, if I could put two and two together, that at that moment in time, they wouldn't have gone for anybody else. They could put this together. And that is the time where they should have stricken when the iron was hot. Instead, they dilly-dallied, and here we are. Absolutely shambolic.
Yeah, look, and first and foremost, let me just say, listen, there are people in the chat wishing injury upon Eze. Please, can we not do this? This is where football fans really let themselves down. This is not on Eze. Tottenham could have had Eze wrapped up a week ago. Tottenham needed to move. We've known all along, if you wait and wait and wait, you are allowing one of the big clubs to come in and go, boom.
Yep.
Right? There are fans that were saying, 68 million's too much for Eze. No. I said it in my video this morning, Manny, and I won't give too much away. I'm guessing people can... people will guess what in my video. But if you want Savio, if you want Eze, and these clubs put 68, 70 million pound price tags on them, this is what you pay for quality. This is what you pay. This is why Liverpool pay 100 and whatever for Wirtz. This is why
Yep.
they've gone and paid for Ekatike. This is why Man United have gone and spent big on Mbuemo, on Cunha and Sesko. This is why Chelsea go big on footballers. Big footballers that win you games, that win you points, that are the difference makers between finishing 10th and finishing 5th. They cost money. And every single transfer with this guy, it feels like it needs to be, we won this transfer. If Daniel Levy cared about us, that transfer, it would have been, right, Palace, what's it going to take to get this wrapped up today? What's it going to take? Because what we're hearing is from everyone is that Arsenal have actually bid the same amount of money as Tottenham, right? But that they've gone in with favourable terms, which essentially means whereas I'm just making this bit up, by the way, but whereas we might have wanted this deal over 3 or 4 years, Arsenal might have gone in and gone, no, we'll do this over 2 windows or 2 years, whatever it may be. Manny, until that stops, until that changes, everybody now, I've said line drawn for me now. I'm sorry if I'm venting. Line drawn for me. Line drawn. No more benefit of the doubt. Said, sliding doors moment. Get Savio. Get Eze. Get these players in and I'll turn around and go, fair play. Failed with Gibbs White.
Sorry.
Failed with
Savva,
Eze. I'm fuming.
But that's the point. But that's the point. Like I know on well, I say I know, probably not, but on the Spurs 5 show that you've got tonight, this is gonna come up. But this is not you cannot look at this and think to yourself, oh, but oil money, state money. No, because nobody wants Savio at the moment. We are the only ones linked to Savio. We are the only ones speaking to Savio. And the reports are clear. They want £70 million. This is not about oil money. This is about the fact that we generate one of the highest revenues in the entire league, in the entirety of Europe. This is because 42% of our wages, the ratio of our wages to revenue is 42%, which is the lowest in the league. So there is scope to do things like your Savinho, like your Eze. Eze would not have been hijacked if you had done the deal when you were supposed to do the deal instead of haggling over bits and pieces. If we had, say, for example, 2 weeks ago, put in a bid, and Arsenal then had also then put in a bid, nobody would be here moaning because we can all understand, right? Okay, listen, Arsenal are in a better position than us. If we're both going for the same player, he will choose Arsenal. He's also a boyhood Arsenal fan. The food chain,
right?
I
get it.
Everyone understands it. I get it.
I get it, yeah.
But when you have a situation where Eze, all reports show that Eze was not going to even play the Chelsea game because he thought that the deal had been agreed between us and Spurs. And then due to haggling, he then played that game. And then obviously by Monday, Palace were like, well, we want him to play the game on Wednesday. It's us. That is not anybody else. That is not an issue that's stemming from anyone else making
it's us
making
v
a mistake.
us.
It's us v us.
And
that
we can't
is what
win.
is more frustrating.
Do you know what? All the reports overnight are suggesting, by the way, and this is from the main Brazilian transfer guy, are reporting that Spurs have upped their bid. Now, I don't know. I'm not saying this for sure, Manny. I never do. I never say categorically something has happened. But all the reports are saying that Spurs have upped their bid, but to 80 million euros for Savio, which I believe, hang on, as of this morning, 80 million euros in pounds. And of course, it lets me down. Oh, 69.2 million.
Yeah.
Now, do you know what? If Spurs have done that and get that deal done, brilliant. But do you know what will fuck me off about this? Why are we only willing? Why are we only willing to pay the money
now?
When we're in trouble? Because Manny, I was having this conversation last night, and again, this is where it's like Danny and I completely disagree. When we say just slap the money down, I think that can work in some circumstances. In other circumstances, it can't. I'll tell you what I mean by that.
Yep.
There are 11 days and 7-8 hours to go, right? I'm being precise. There are 11 days, right?
Yep.
If we rock up to clubs now that don't want to sell players, it's either going to take a phenomenal bid to get the player. Big up, Chris. And if you haven't worked with Manny, Chris, Manny.
I know Chris. I've been on a few shows with him.
Oh, fair enough. It's either going to take a phenomenal bid with 11 days to go to get someone's player out of their club, or it's going to take us going to clubs that have PSR issues or want players to leave already. So, for example, not saying we want, by the way, please hear what I'm saying. For example, Man United are actively selling players like Sancho and Garnacho, right? Those deals you can go and get done. I'm not saying I want them before everyone in the chat loses their mind. Deals for players like a Matoma at Brighton, I was arguing last night. If Brighton have no desire to sell that player, with 11 days to go, Manny, why are Brighton going to turn around and go, oh, go on then? That's the problem we've put ourselves in now.
But that's the point. I genuinely think, even once you break it down like that, right, it does make you think, is Levy and this board living in the past? Like, you know, the transfer window has moved on. We don't deal this way anymore. We're not in a situation where, you know, in the past where, you know, there was a select few in terms of clubs that had such an overpowering, you know, shadow over the rest of the clubs on a monetary level. We live in a situation now where from the winner of the playoffs in the championship gets 120 million pounds to go from the championship to the Premier League. Clubs now have the money. So when you come to them, they are obviously going to say they want to replace the player. So then you put yourself in a massive sticky situation. Genuinely, like, we as a club, us as a fan base, for us as a fan base to know all these things, and for the club's board to not behave the way a normal board will behave, just tells me that this is intentional. I'm sorry to say, this is intentional. And the fact that, you know, rule 101 of negotiation is the fact that you need to negotiate in such a way that you and the person you're negotiating with come out of the negotiation feeling that they've won something. Us going into these negotiations every single time wanting to pull one over someone is just, at the moment, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm genuinely speechless. As I said, I am more livid than what I was last night. Eze, again, I keep saying, Eze going to Arsenal will improve them, but the improvement that he is going to bring to Arsenal based on the players that they've got is nowhere near the improvement he would have brought us as a club. And the fact that our board hasn't seen that and it hasn't pushed them to actually get on and get that deal done is really, really worrying. Really worrying.
No, it is. Listen, it is truly worrying. What else is truly worrying is there are 1,000 of you inside the house. 1,000, which is madness for 10:30 a.m. on a Thursday morning. Please smash the like button if you haven't. We've only got 206 likes from 1,000. Come on, smash the likes if you need Levy and Enoch to bugger off. And if anyone hasn't subscribed, please do. Absolutely crazy number of subscribers yesterday. We are just over 120 away from 22,000 now. And please subscribe to Manny at Designated Hotspur. And if one of my mods would be so kind to put Manny's link in the chat, I will be forever grateful. Thank you very much. Chris, good morning to you, by the way. Good morning. I think for me, what I would say is I went to bed with relative anger and woken up with more like just, I don't know the word. deflation, demoralized. How are you feeling? I know you're a very level-headed chap. How are you feeling, Chris? And where do Tottenham go from? Where do we go from here? What do we do?
Yeah, big up Savva, Manny. Hope you're doing well, mate. Where to start? Yeah, first of all, I'd say that my job as my profession, I'm a major incident manager, which basically means that when the shit hits the fan, I'm the person they call to try and sort it out, right? So it's kind of my job is to be calm.
Can we hang on? Can I quickly get you a job at Tottenham for the last 11 days of the window?
Yeah, absolutely, that would be amazing. But today is going to be a hugely emotional day, and I'm not saying I'm not emotional about it, but for me, that's the time for calm heads and to actually analyze things rationally. So maybe some of the things I might say in a minute might not be the most popular, but actually I think most broadly speaking, we'll all be on the same page.
Yeah.
So what happened with Eze, we can get into it and I can explain this, but I don't think it's that important. Actually, I've got a little bit more sympathy for Levy and ENIC than the general masses at the moment. I think perhaps some of it was a little unfortunate, but the optics are absolutely abysmal. Like it couldn't be worse. We have made an absolute embarrassment of ourselves, and it's not the first time this summer, let alone over ENIC's tenureship. So that isn't good. My thoughts are, I'm not as upset as others. I think that's because I'm older and I've seen this all kind of before.
I'm old and I'm upset.
Yeah. I've got a couple of years on you, although I know I don't look it, but you know, these youthful looks are a curse.
You look beautiful.
But yeah, no, I'm not surprised, man. I'm not surprised. So I am as ENIC out as anybody. Also, for me, it's really important that it's ENIC out, not Levy out, but that's, again, another debate. I've been there with Brian Daigle and the other 20, 30 peoples before all Change for Tottenham got involved, right? So I've been to those protests. I've been to some of the Change for Tottenham ones. I'm fully on board with all of that. My worry is I think this is a moment in time for us as a fan base that I've seen a number of times. So it's all very well being ENIC out, Levy out, but that needs to be a consistent. If people believe in the protest, we can get into that. Then that has to be a consistent thing. It can't be contingent on one failed transfer. So last Saturday, Change for Tottenham, there's some debate about whether it was a good time. I think if you're balanced about ENIC's tenureship across 25 years, the timing doesn't really matter because it's not about who do we sign this window. If we'd have signed Eze yesterday, our fans should, for me, be as passionate about ENIC out today as they were 24 hours ago when we hadn't signed Eze. But that's not what our fan base is like. So now we haven't signed Eze and we've made a complete balls up of it. Everybody is up in arms about it, which I totally get. And if there was a protest today, if there was a home game today, my God, that would be interesting. There would be huge numbers. My big fear, I've been here before. I'm not saying you, Savva, in particular, or any one person, but the amount of times
I won't take it personally. You're all right.
The amount of times I've heard this is the breaking point. But so what? I genuinely think that it doesn't really make any difference. And it's not that I'm not on board with everybody's unhappiness. I just don't see a way forward for us apart from ENIC will do what they want. And this is the last straw. They've got to go. They don't have to go. They'll go when they want to go, unless there's another reason. And we as a fan base don't have the stomach to make the protest big enough to impact them, in my opinion. Therefore, it's a day to be really unhappy, and it's shit to be a Tottenham fan. It's just one of many days I've seen like that under ENIC, and I think it will just carry on. That's where I am, really. So, yeah, I'm super unhappy about it, but what are we going to do?
Yeah, look, I think the difficulty is, I mean, listen, I've spoken to some of the biggest Spurs YouTubers out there this morning. And normally when I have those mornings, you know, you get these events. This is like that kind of Sol Campbell level event. Do you know what I mean? The kind of event where everyone goes, what's going on? And rightly so. I've spoken to lots of the big YouTubers today. I spoke to Ricky Sachs, for example. and I can hear it in his voice.
Yeah.
Whilst there's the anger there, it's just utter deflation. It is that whole thing of I don't like. He said to me when he first started to, what do we say? Like, what do you do? And I don't know if anyone hasn't seen Ricky Sacks this morning on TalkSport. It's really good. Watch it, and you can see he is downbeat. I'm not knocking him. Ricky's a friend of mine. He is downbeat. He's emotionally distraught with the whole kind of thing. Yeah. And he said to I think it was Alan Brazil and Gabby Bonglahor. He's sitting there going, how many times have we got to see this? How many times do we have to see Daniel Levy go in and think that these transfers are a war? At what stage are we going to go in and go, right? Like, for example, James Maddison went down injured. I think it's like 20 days ago or something. Right now, in the grand scheme of things, Chris, 20 days isn't massive. But in football terms, 20 days is huge. In a transfer window, 20 days is huge. Son, when did Son officially sign for LA? Does anyone know? It
was about the same
20
time.
Days ago?
I think it was like a couple of days before Maddison got injured, wasn't it?
Yes, right. So we knew then, right? So we're looking at 20, let's say we're looking at a rounded off 3 weeks that we knew there was no Maddison. They would have known that Son was going way before it was announced. They would have known at least a few weeks in advance. You know, from the moment you're in negotiations with LA, you know. And in that 3 weeks, go, what are we doing? Come on, Spurs. Go boom, boom, boom with signings and we all go fair. We're 3 weeks down the line, and what they've managed to do is bring in Paulinho on loan. Now, I'm not knocking Paulinho. I'm not knocking that signing, Chris. You know me. I love Paulinho. But surely, Chris, you bring in Paulinho on loan and you kick the can down the road. You kick the can down the road. Morning, Mark. Morning. So that you can say, right, Spurs, brilliant. Brilliant. You've saved money in central midfield by bringing Paulinho on loan. Right. Now go and spend the big money. Yeah. Chris, we haven't. Chris, they failed to do it.
That was part of why Paulinho deserved praise, because you go, well, it's not like us, is it, to go and sign a 30-year-old, whether it's on loan or permanently. But the beauty of getting him on loan was it didn't commit those funds, right? So you can go and spend the extra money on getting the player you need across the line. We absolutely haven't done it. And that is where I think all the criticisms are valid. I think I might be a bit of a lone voice today in terms of the actual Eze stuff. Going, maybe it's not as that Eze deal, maybe it's not quite as incompetent as it actually looks. But overall, the argument is indisputable. And ultimately, we, like you said, we've known about Maddison for a long time. I think we would have known about Son a long time ago, in my opinion. I think months that we've known that he's going. My worry about Son is I think you've already signed his replacement, and that was what Tell probably was supposed to be. But yeah, we're arguably going to leave us very short. Even the most fervent Levy apologists, and people are going to think I am today, but I'm not.
No, I hear what you're saying.
It's impossible to argue, though, now that Levy, I genuinely think what the worst thing for Levy about me, or one of the worst things, is over 25 years, I think the relationships he's built, not in a positive way, across Premier League chairman and chief executives mean that people don't want to deal with him. I imagine there's a lot of people in boardrooms who are absolutely fucking over the moon at how embarrassed Levy has been about Morgan Gibbs-White and now Eze. And what it does is it leaves us in a position now with a few days to go where we will sign some players, I'm pretty confident. But now we've got to overpay. Like, even if we go to Savio, right, and now we pay his asking price, could you blame City for going, hold on a minute, you are absolutely in the shit.
Absolutely.
So it's another 5 million. It's another 10 million.
If I'm City, I'll be honest, if I'm Man City, I'm telling Spurs, we don't want 80 million euros. We want 80 million quid. Yeah. Listen, this is what I said. Listen, I've been wrong about things this window. I've been right about things this window. Right? Same as you, Chris. Same as you, Mark. Same as every fan. None of us are right on everything. The one thing I've been right about on, one of the things I've been right about on, you don't wait till this late in the window. Man City are a massive club with zero financial implications on them. We can talk about 115 charges. Doesn't matter. Nothing's happening at the moment, right? But you know the problem? This is our fan base. You ready? What's wrong with Dibling? Right? Like this is where we go immediately. This is why I think things like yesterday, I'll call it out. Karma for people like this. What's wrong with Dibling? More quality youngsters. You got what you want.
The answer is there's nothing wrong with Dibling, but he can't be your headline first choice signing to come in to play in the first team. It's mental.
Exactly, mate. Listen, let me bring in Mark. Mark, we were just saying it's not necessarily that this is Eze. It's just another situation, Mark, where Spurs, Daniel Levy, the club, the fans, we're left embarrassed. Daniel Levy looks like a fool. But, I mean, Morgan Gibbs-White and Eze in one window. We've not been able to go to Palace and Forest and take their best players. Palace and Forest, right? You've also now got to think, what about fans? Look at the banter and look at the sheer banter we're going to get for the foreseeable every time Eze scores a goal for Arsenal. Next time you see Eze
he's scoring the winner, isn't he? He's scoring the winner in the North London derby.
For sure. Mark, I can see it on your face. I can see the kind of vitriol on your face. Good morning. Take a breath. Are you okay?
I'm sorry, man. I'm going to try. You lads can come across as angry, and I struggle to suppress it, right? So apologies in advance. I will not say anything sweary. I'm not an happy bunny this morning, as many of us as you can imagine. I'm fed up of being led down the road. I was like a lot of fans, Savva. It seemed like we were moving differently in this show, and I was prepared to give Levy that little bit of leeway, and which is very hard to do after 24 years of what we've had to put up with. Right?
Sure.
So
I'm with you. I'm in the mud with you, mate. We're in that mud bath together.
Yeah, we're
very
all
romantic
together. Yeah, 57 years old, mate. I followed this club for a very long time. Seen some of the dark days back in the day, right? But this today, right? For me, there's only one way Levy can go, and that's that way out the door. I've had enough, Savva, right? I was quite happy to get on board. Paulinia on loan, kudos. We went down the Morgan Gibbs-White, didn't get it over the line, but the intent was there. Yeah. We've gone for Eze. There's been word of Savinio and others as well. But just put those 5 in the block. Yeah. We get them over the line. I don't know one fan that's not unhappy. Everyone's happy with that. Right? When we get today and we've been in talks with Eze, right? And Arsenal, above anyone, come in and within 5 hours, they've got the deal done. Yeah, banter's not the word, Savva. Banter.
I was being polite. I was being polite. Obviously, look, Mark, I'm going every Thursday at 4 p.m. I go on Football's 12th Man podcast because I think Dan Potts is a brilliant guy, right?
Yeah.
I've got to go and sit on there with people like Wolfie, people like Hooks, and I've got to sit there and how do I possibly say anything other than, yeah, we're a shit show? How do I possibly defend my football club? And the Arsenal fans have been losing their mind all summer. Look at their window. They're losing their mind. Look at what Tottenham have done. I've got Spurs fans. I'm going to rant. I've got Spurs fans telling me we're stronger than last season. No, we've got a better manager than last season. We are weaker than last season. We've lost all our attacking output. Now, that's fine. I know Son had to go. I know you can't help Maddison getting injured, but react to it. Or better still, be proactive about it. I'm still seeing people in the chat right now trying to fight the case for why we should go and sign Tyler Dibling and El Canouse. This is the problem, Mark. This is the problem. Those fans talking about El Canouse no, there's a reason El Canouse was being bought by Crystal Palace. There's a reason why that level of club have gone for him. There's a reason why Everton are bidding for Tyler Dibling. We are Tottenham Hotspur. We are Tottenham Hotspur. I'm just reading here. I'm having loads of stuff sent to me. Apparently, the Independent have said today that Nico Paz, Tyler Dibling, and Xavi Simons are all transfer targets. Well, Xavi Simons is never going to happen. Said Nico Paz is considered the most achievable. A movement expected today. An approach has also been made for Tyler Dibling. Now, I don't know whether to believe that, but if Tottenham go and sign Tyler Dibling this window, they should give everybody their season ticket money back, because that is a massive slap in the face. And by the way, let me caveat this, guys. Sorry, Chris, I'll caveat this. This is nothing against Tyler Dibling, but it's another kid in and amongst more kids where he'll come in and everyone will expect miracles. Chris, this is where I'm saying. Are we saying it's Eze or Dibling? Is that the level that Spurs are at? It's absolute comical.
A real serious club. Those are both perfectly fine targets, but you go and get both, right? You get one for your first team, comes in, does it right now, and Dibling, who can come in, integrate over the next 2 or 3 years, possibly take over from Eze in 3 years' time, right? It's not one or the other, and it does leave us in. I mean, my God, the thought of, I mean, if Kudus gets injured, we could have Dibling and Tell and Odebear on the wings. Like, that scares me. That really, it's funny because I was on Spurs Kings about 48 hours ago saying if we did get Eze and Savio, actually our first team looks really competent and I'm really hopeful.
Agreed.
Now I'm looking at it thinking, oh my God, what am I going to be watching this season? I'm scared at what we're going to do. I don't see Paz. Like, by all accounts, Real Madrid have got this buyback clause, right? That they want him back at some point. So, but whatever we do now, it's gonna be embarrassing. I mean, taking a call from Daniel Levy right now, I'd love that at my football club, because you can just hold us to hostage for any player. Any
for
player.
sure.
We are going to get some crap through. Who is Eze level that we could realistically get? I don't have an answer for that question. Really.
But it's not just who we could realistically get. It's who is Eze level that would realistically move with 11 days to go. Because let's assume, let's look at Eze level, and there's not many, and this is the problem. Let's say Dani Olmo of Barcelona, right? Dani Olmo. 3 things have to want to happen, right? Probably more. 1, Barcelona have to want to sell. 2, Dani Olmo has to want to come. 3, Tottenham have to want to pay. If all 3 of those things line up, you're golden. But more realistically, what's going to happen? And everyone was saying I was wrong on this last night. What's actually going to happen is Tottenham are going to approach these football clubs, Mark, with 11 days of the window. We're going to go, can we have this player, please? We don't want to sell him. What's it going to take for you to sell him? Well, we want 70 million. This might be a 40, 50 million pound player. Plus, you need to wait until we found a replacement. This is the problem. When people are now saying, just go and get me boom, 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 there are 11 days of the window to go. People saying, just go and get me Ollie Watkins. You think Aston Villa are going to give us Ollie Watkins with 11 days of the transfer window to go? This is why you don't move this late, Mark. This is why you don't wait till August to start going for your transfers.
This is why as well, on top of what you're saying, there's meant to be people at the club that are, with a want for a better word, looking at players, scouting players, whatever it is, from January at the end of the last window, at the earliest, they would have probably had people they were looking at before that to come in this window. But they're not, are they? And like you say, 11 days to go, so who realistically now is coming to Tottenham of any level? Who is coming? We're struggling. Like you say, Savinho, you go back there, even though their top man said, I don't want to sell him, you'll go back there with a silly bid there. Yeah, and it'll be, we tried. We tried. We went in with 75 million. We tried though. You know, is that what we called them? We tried FC. Gazumped FC.
Dogs go. Can I knock one thing on the head that I've seen a lot of, and it's in the chat right now, this Morgan Rogers stuff. It's absolutely not going to happen in a million years, just for a couple of very obvious reasons. One, we can't take Forest's and Palace's players. We ain't taking Villa. Secondly, everyone go, oh, but they need the money. No, they don't. They've just sold Jacob Ramsey for 43 million. And when you do the old amortization thing, that puts them in a pretty good position. They don't need to sell anybody. And finally, as you said, Savva, you think if Villa did need the money, they're going to sell probably their best player with 11 days to go. Of course they're not. They're going to try and sell other players. And then the last one, you think Morgan Rogers wants to join Tottenham after watching this absolute shambles over the last few weeks? Like, let's be realistic. Morgan Rogers is going nowhere near.
When you try and rationalise, this is what people don't get, right? You are spot on. If Tottenham rock up to Aston Villa right now, it doesn't matter. We can go 80 million, Morgan Rogers, right? Aston Villa right now are going to go, right, hang on. Spurs are surely one of our rivals in the league. Let's be fair. We're not rivals of Chelsea, Arsenal, City or Liverpool. Spurs are one of our rivals in the league for the European spots, right? Spurs are desperate. Morgan Rogers is one of our best players. With 11 days to go, are Aston Villa going to go, yeah. Now, I don't think they would sell to us anyway. But now let's flip that. If at the end of June, beginning of July, Spurs start to try to turn the head of a player like that. By the way, I still don't think it would happen. At least then you're going, right, let's turn the head. Player gets a bit unsettled if he wants to come, by the way. He might be looking at Spurs and going, I'm all right at Villa, by the way. I'm okay here. I'm playing with Ollie Watkins. I'm playing with Onana. I'm playing with some good footballers here already. Right? They're going to turn around and go to us, no. 11 days to go. This is why I will say this till I'm blue in the face. Stop trying to go for footballers this late, because what you're going to end up with is young kids or players that people don't want.
Well, the other thing with that as well is I agree. I don't think Rodgers is ever coming to Spurs. If you go to Villa and do really well, your next career move is not Tottenham Hotspur. But anyway, if you'd have done it a month ago, maybe Villa might have had the financial pressure, but they've just relieved all of that. So they're under no obligation to sell at all for PSR rules. So, yeah, it's just an absolute shambles. But, yeah, I just wanted to address the Rodgers one. There's a lot of people now who are deluding themselves thinking of who we can go and get. I mean, we've got to be realistic.
Yeah, but by the way, I've got to show this, by the way. Sorry, for those saying Dibling, I'm sorry, and I don't want to be horrible, but this is absolutely, you cannot go from players like Savio to Dibling. You can't. You can't. Look, you can't. You just can't do it. Dan, is this what you were talking about? You just can't do it. We can't. I'm saying Tell and Dibling should not be a debate at Tottenham Hotspur. Tell versus Dibling should not be the debate, right? Look, I'm going to show you this, by the way, right? Look at this, right? So, again, depending on how much credit you want to give Miguel Delaney, I don't know. Again, look, these are the names. Spurs in chaos after Eze. There are at least options. It's a lot of pressure to get 2 deals done. I mean, Spurs can't get 1 done in a month, let alone 2 in 11 days. More likely, Akliouche, Paz and Dibling. Less likely, Simmons, Rogers, Gallagher and Savino. And those 2 sentences for me sum up Tottenham. The less likely versus the more likely. Mark, right now, would it be fair to say I'd rather nobody come in than signing more kids from the likes of Southampton? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, had enough of kids, Savva. You know, he's got the kids for developing whatever he thinks they're going to be later on. Yeah. As stated, we need first team players, mate. We need first team players to come into this team. Yeah. Into this squad, if you want to call it that. Yeah. But to come straight into the first team. like you say, he's got 11 days now. Can I put a name out there that weren't on that list? And
knock yourself
centre
out.
midfielder, an attacking midfielder, because now, for me, right, Kudos is there on the right. Like Chris says, it all looks great on a first team. We know we need more than that anyway, right? What about going back to West Ham for Paqueta?
I'll take him all day.
Yep.
All day, Mark.
We need as much as we need a left winger, we've got to have, your playmaker, your attacking midfielder, whatever you want to call it. We haven't got one. We've got to get some creativity in from somewhere. Because if we don't, all we're going to see all season against anyone that's above mid-table is a low block. Because you've got no one to attack with.
The big problem we're going to have, and this is where stats are going to be misleading as well, right? If you've got Eze and Savio and Kudos, you're stretching the pitch, you're giving them room to play. Based on what we have currently, we only have Kudos as an outball. You just put 2 players on him. Kudos is making no assists this season on that basis because he can't. What can he do on his own? It's not his fault. So his stats will be appalling, but that's Tottenham Hotspur's fault for not putting a proper first 11 out, not Kudos' fault.
But by the way, I mean, listen, I said on the show last night, we're about to see 11 days of craziness. Every link, every report, seeing reports today that Spurs are in talks with Real Madrid for a season-long loan for Rodrigo. And it's like, this is the craziness of the market. Look what Liverpool did. I was in a Spurs WhatsApp group yesterday, which I had to come out of because it was ridiculous, right? I was in a Spurs WhatsApp group yesterday where I'm hearing, well, look at Liverpool. They haven't got everything done. And you're like, are you kidding me? Whatever Liverpool get now is nice to have. All right, I would say Liverpool need another centre-half. Granted. Liverpool went in the first month of the window, didn't they? And got Ekatike, Florian Wirtz, Kirkes, and Frimpong. And I've got Spurs fans going, yeah, but Liverpool, but Arsenal haven't got what Arsenal done. Chelsea have signed so many. Chelsea's, Man United completely changed their front three before the season started. We've got to stop worrying about what these clubs do. Start acting like a club ourselves, because we're going into a Champions League campaign with a weaker set of forwards to what we had last year. And I don't care how many people, Mark and Chris, by the way, I don't care how many big up Richarlison because he's had one good game. I don't care how many think Bergval's going to be the greatest young player of all time. We have wasted, right? Let's have a look. These 5 players. Johnson, Odegaard, Tell, Richie Solanke. If I'm not wrong, that's in the region of £230 million, those 5, if I'm not wrong. Right? I don't want to see not one of those starting for Tottenham, if I'm brutally honest. Now you go into the midfield, right? 40 million on Gray. Right? That's nearly £270 million on those 6 players. Yet we couldn't find the release clause for Eze. Yet we can't find 70 million for Savio. This is truly embarrassing. So when you've got these fans, I call it when you've got these fans like Matt in my chat going, what's wrong with Dibling? They're not learning. They're not learning, guys. You keep spending big money on these kids. They are not learning. This is what infuriates me as a Spurs fan. Look at these. Look at these. We're in a crisis and we're turning our heads at Dibling, a quality player of big potential. I hate to break it to you, Matt. Tell isn't even in the starting 11, so he's not benching him. Tell is not in the 11, mate. Right? A quality player based on what? Right now, what is that based on? 1 year in a relegation threatened team at Southampton. The fact we're in a crisis, Matt, is because we keep signing Diblings. Sorry, guys, I don't mean to go in on Matt, but am I being dumb here, or are we not learning? Are fans like this not learning? You can't keep buying 18, 19-year-olds. This is why we're in the mess we're in. Because instead of, sorry for the rant, because instead of spending the 40 million on Archie Gray and putting that towards an Eze, instead of buying Tell for 35, 40 million and putting that money towards an Eze or a Savio, Odegaard at 30 million. Why? What did we need him for? Sorry, guys. I'm so fucked off how even after these things happen, we've got fans that aren't learning.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, ultimately, if you buy lots of players from relegated teams, what do you expect to happen to you as a team? I mean, you're not going to go up and challenge for the league, are you? It's crazy. I do have a question for Mark, though, or a general question, but on the back of something that Mark said about sort of just having enough. And I think that's all fine, and I understand that. But for me, the key question today is, what does that mean in reality? Like, we've all had enough, right? My next question is, so what? What do we do about it? Because we can all sit here and talk about transfer targets till we're blue in the face. If we're serious as a club about we need new owners, what can we do? What are we prepared to do? Because my argument at the moment is, as a fan base, we aren't actually prepared to do anything, because you look at the numbers that showed up last Saturday. There were, 20 people at the protest? That tells me that we have a fan base that are not serious about assessing ENIC's tenure over 25 years. They might be serious today about assessing ENIC's performance yesterday, and there might be 2,000 at a protest if it was held today. But I don't think ultimately we can do anything. But we need to get people like Mark, like yourself, Savva. I know you've got a stream that you've got to do, but people of your ilk, we need to get them all together if we're going to make any difference at all. But that's my open question to anybody is, we're really unhappy with ENIC. I understand it. Now what?
Chris, I really don't know, apart from protesting. I don't know what else as fans we can do. I know how Savva feels about it. He said many times, yep, he is Levy out, but he doesn't think protests will work. Okay? The thing is with the protests, like you said, Chris, a couple of weeks ago, whenever it was, there was 20 people there. Yeah? When we won the Europa League, there was 250,000 people there.
Yeah.
All right? So that tells you that the fans are there. At the end of the day, it depends how many people, and like you say, not being reactionary on what happened just yesterday, but what's happened over the last number of years.
Yeah.
Right? Eventually, elastic bands break. That's the only way. I have been patient, as many other people have been, for a long time. All right? But I think it is really coming to the stage where people, if they really do want him out, have to show up. I don't know what else as fans we can do apart from vent our anger on streams like this and turn up when protests are arranged.
I just don't think we will, though, mate. I don't think
know,
we will.
Chris,
my
I
argument,
agree with you.
My argument before you came on, or maybe as you joined, was I think we should be as upset with ENIC today, even if we'd have signed Eze yesterday. Because it's not about a window. It's not about a signing. It's about 25 years. But that is not, we're just not at that place as a fan base. Today, we're super unhappy because the wind is blowing in that direction. We go and beat City at the weekend. If we go and sign Savio, or even if we sign Tyler Dibling, you know that YouTube's going to be full of Tyler Dibling transforms Spurs. And as long as we're not in the bottom three, 17th, that protest last year, I think Dan E says this a lot, and I agree, that those protest numbers were only partially ENIC out, and they were a lot about, we're not happy that we're 17th in the league and Angie's football is shit. That's really what it was. It was just the way that the wind was blowing on that day. On Saturday, the wind was blowing in the other direction. You got 20 people. It's just not a balanced view of ENIC over a period of time. So I know I'm going to sound like the harbinger of doom here, and I am to some extent. I'm totally on board. I think I'm as much ENIC out as anyone. I was at the protest before Change for Tottenham were around. However, I disagree slightly with Savva in that I am of the view that we should go and do it. But I agree kind of with Savva that I don't see where it's going ultimately. I still feel like I have the right to voice my happiness. I kind of agree with him. I don't see what difference.
Chris, this is heart v head. This is heart v head for me personally. By the way, when I talk about the protest, I know everyone says, "Oh, you're belittling." I'm not. I'm just putting my view across. What I've also said is, after yesterday, the straw that broke the camel's back, I will promote the protests on here. I won't be going to them because this is my job, right? So I know people can't wrap their heads around this, but if I go to the protest during match day, I lose out on my revenue and I can't pay my bills. So I won't be going. I will promote them. My worry is, and that this hasn't changed, Chris, just because I say I'll promote them, is will it make £4 billion, a £4 billion business owner walk away? That's my worry. But yeah, I do agree that it allows people to voice their anger and show disdain. Now, for me, I think Daniel Levy, after this latest couple of shit shows, if he had anything about him, even if Enoch didn't go, would step down. Not because of protests, not because of step down with, I can't take this club any further. I can't get these deals done. But we know that won't happen because of to become a billionaire, Chris, your ego must be fucking huge, right? Let's be fair.
I'd love to be able to answer that question, Savva, but I'm a long way off it.
But do you know what I mean? These billionaires, right? Their egos are massive. Not always in a bad way, but there's a reason why they are billionaires. And Daniel Levy, in his own right now, I believe, has just become a billionaire in the last few years from yada, 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 whatever. Will it work? I don't know. But what I will do is throw my weight behind it in terms of give me the details. Let me send people there. Let me advertise it. If it works, brilliant. If it doesn't, I won't be surprised. But all I know is this. Fans need to be very consistent here. If you want to protest against Levy, don't then praise the crap signings that come in.
Yeah. This
is something that I always, listen, love him to bits, but this is something I always debate with Lubo about. On the one hand, you're going Levy out, he's done this. On the other hand, brilliant, this signing, brilliant, this signing, brilliant, this. Well, if all the signings are brilliant, what are you actually complaining about, right? Do you know what I mean? So that's not just him, by the way. That's a lot of people. I've seen it, people in the chat right now. Levy out, get me Tyler Dibling. It's like, well, what are you complaining about then? If he goes and gets you Tyler Diblings, surely he's doing what you've asked for. So, look, I genuinely don't know anymore. I don't know where we're going as a club. I don't know what direction we're going. When people are saying changing managers doesn't work, well, what does it matter at this stage? Changing director of football, does that matter? I don't know. Does it matter? Changing owner, does that matter? I genuinely don't know right now. Other than a few sound bites, I don't know what direction this football club is heading in. We are just drifting along. And if we can get Europe, great. If we don't, look how many people last year didn't give a shit when we lost game after game after game. Look at those people, those very same people knocking Thomas Frank. Doesn't matter if we lose every week. What do we want? What, as a fan base, what do we want?
That's the business model, isn't it? And that's what I'm unhappy about. The business model is let's coast along at a certain level, hopefully dip into the Champions League for more revenue. And as long as the business of Tottenham Hotspur appreciates in value, we're selling out every week. We've got wonderful go-kart tracks and things like that, loads of concerts. Then it doesn't matter. These are business people that run Tottenham. So on a business level, it's genius what Levy has done. Levy has come in, said that it wasn't about football, that it was about an underappreciated asset. He's built that asset up.
And he wasn't lying.
No, exactly. He's done exactly what he said he was going to do. And the real genius is I'll repeat what line I said the other week, Savva, on your stream. He's divorced the success of Tottenham Hotspur as a business from the success of Tottenham Hotspur as a football club. The success of the football team doesn't matter. The opinions of the fans, as long as it's still sold out, doesn't really matter. He can still carry on building his empire. And while there are hotels still to be built, I can't see why he would leave. I'll just make one other point on the protest. I think actually, Savva, we have the same view, just with a slightly different emphasis. Because I think the protest basically what can work, but you need massive numbers, and you need to damage the brand so that the corporate sponsors don't find it as attractive. For me, that isn't 2,000 people out the front on a Saturday. You need things inside the stadium that are visible and making it uncomfortable. But to get to those numbers, so I'm of the view of give it a go. I think you're of the view of we're never going to get to those numbers, and I think I agree. But that's what my very last point on the protest. I would like, just me personally, I would like change for Tottenham, who have done some good things. I'd like them to be a little bit clearer in what they stand for, because they've tried to appeal to a broad church, which I fully understand. Of change can mean whatever you want it to mean. It can mean Levy just act a bit differently. I think we're past that point. I think change for Tottenham means we want new owners, and it has to be ENIC out for me. That is my personal opinion. But just before I bring the other two in, and then I will do, after those two have spoken, I will do a few super chats because they're building up. For me, I've always said a few fans need to take a hit. Now, this is really difficult for me to say, Chris, because I can't tell people what to do with their money. But it almost needs 10, 15, 20,000 people that have paid for a ticket or have a season ticket to have the ticket for the game but not go in. It almost needs that to show that, hey, the problem is, I get it. By the way, I'm not deluded. I get it. I've paid for this. I'm going to do it. I get it. But it almost needs, you have the protest, which again, I will help promote now. But you've got those 2,000, 3,000 people that will do that, then go into the game. Now, I get it. They've got season tickets. It's their club. They love it. I've got no problem with that. Even if they don't buy all the beers, and fine, no problem with that. But again, I'm asking, what's the hit on that for Levy and ENIC?
Yeah.
If 15, 20,000 people, let's say against Bournemouth, guys, because that's the next home game. If 15, 20,000 people did not attend their seats, did not go into the stadium, and the attendance is at 40,000, right? The attendance at 40,000, that's an eye-opener. Hang on. Where are these 20,000 people? Right? That has a massive hit on the tills, doesn't it? 20,000 people not buying beers, fish and chips, sausage rolls, programs. That has a massive hit. For me, that is the only way it works. But I'm aware that what I'm asking is for people to part with their hard-earned cash and then not get the product they paid for. Mark, Manny, it's a difficult one, right? I don't think there's a right or wrong here.
Spot on, and funny enough that you say you talk about Bournemouth. After that, I literally put in a few group chats. I literally was like, I'm not going to the game. I'm not selling the ticket. But back on the point that Chris mentioned, that's a very important point. Whatever it is has to be very visible, because even us not buying the beers, right? Yes, it will affect their pockets, but where the real money is these corporate sponsors. These corporate sponsors are, because I work in finance, and I'm a finance head, right? You massage the numbers, you create a narrative to make the numbers make sense. If they drop in revenue from the purchases of food and beer, etc., they can massage the narrative whichever way they want. What they can't massage is visibly empty seats, because that is what will hurt the brand. As I'm a finance guy, that's what I do all the time. I will put up a budget, the numbers will be low, and I'll say, well, it's due to X, Y, Z, and those numbers are going to go back up, and then they buy it. That is what you do. But if it's visible, if people, like you said, have the season ticket holders, which I think are in the region of 45k plus, do not turn up for even two games, and don't sell their tickets, then that will hit home. That is what will hit home, because everything else hasn't worked. And we are coasting. That is Like Levy says, he loves the club. I was watching the overlap, and as I said to Lubo last time, and I was like, for that split second, I started believing this guy. But it's the way he walks around the stadium, rightly so,
Yeah.
appreciating what he's done, but parading the stadium as the achievement just shows you where his mentality is
Yeah.
at.
Look what I created.
Can
Manny,
I
it's
come
like
back?
me building a mansion. It's like me building a mansion, having an open house sale, and everyone going, "Where's the fixtures and fittings?" No, you're not getting that. you've got to do all that yourself.
I just come back to Manny on that. Amen. By the way, I'm so on board with everything you said. I don't think we need to boycott a whole match. I think the optics of not being in the first 10, 15 minutes and everyone walking in is enough. But on the finance, I hear this all the time. Stop buying the drinks and stuff. But Connor's on now. It'll be interesting to see whether he agrees with this. If you have 20,000 fans who all don't buy, say, 2 pints and £6 a pint, and then you put that across 19 Premier League home games, that's £4.5 million. Is absolutely nothing. Makes the idea that a board meeting is going to come together and go, sales revenue of hospitality, our food revenue is down £4.5 million across the season. Daniel Levy, you better leave, is absolutely mental. It is the smallest drop in the ocean you can ever imagine. So I'm totally agree with Manny. It's not about don't give him the money, because in terms of buying the tickets, the merchandise, it's not going to make a difference really. What is going to make a difference is damaging the brands to the point that the narrative is in the media, to the point that some of these corporate sponsors are on the phone going, this is not good for our brand. I totally agree. Interesting to see what Connor thinks of that. But
yeah, no, I agree. And nice to see you all. And thanks again, Savva, for having me on again. No, I agree with that. Look, I think ultimately, and Savva's made this point before, the protests are not going to necessarily force Daniel Levy and Enoch to sell the football club. Let's just, that they in and of themselves are not going to. But what I've always argued is I think you can create media attention, which puts a little bit of unnecessary noise that they don't like. I think, Chris, I just heard you making a point about corporate sponsors. I think that's spot on. I think also as a fan, you need to feel like you've done everything that you can do within your own gift. And the argument I always make, it's a bit like people who make the argument that I'm not going to go out and vote because it makes no difference, or I live in a conservative area but I support Labour and there's no point me going out to vote because Conservatives always win that local area. That's fine, but at least you feel as you as an individual have done everything that you can do. And I don't accept this argument, and I think you were just touching on it around, it's hypocritical for people to protest and then still go to the game because and keep their season ticket. I was one of the 20 at the protest on the first game of the season. Still went to the game. I'm a season ticket holder. Why should I have to give up my season ticket because I don't agree with the ownership? Why should I have to leave? I want them to leave. And the point is, if I give up my season ticket, someone else will just take it anyway, right? And then I will never have that opportunity. I'm hoping Enoch can leave at some point in my lifetime. So
Mate, I waited. Sorry, can I say I waited 7 years to get a season ticket, right? And I was number 60,000. If you drop your season ticket, it's gonna get picked up tomorrow.
Yeah. Guys, we need the Mannies and the Connors and the I'm also the same, and I totally agree with that, Connor. We need our voices, the ones who don't like Enoch and Levy. We need them in the stadium, not the ones who are buying our tickets when we put it on a resale, who will come in, spend 5 times the amount, like come in on a day trip and spend £500 in the shop. That's giving them what they want. That's the worst thing to do, in my opinion.
Yeah, I listen. I gave up mine. Because I was bored of seeing what Daniel Levy was buying for me to watch. And I know, bearing in mind, this was before my YouTube channel, by the way. This was before, because I'd been so disillusioned with it. I was one of the fans that whilst the stadium build was going on, there were very few, but there were so many online at the time, so pumped with enthusiasm oh, this stadium. And I'll come to you, Mark. And then I must do some super chats. Come to you, Mark. There were so many pumped with enthusiasm that it's going to change. You watch. Look what he's doing for us. There were a few people. And obviously, I didn't know all of you then, but I was seeing people like Stel on Twitter, as it was at the time when I used to be on Twitter. And we were saying, guy, if you think this is changing anything, you're crazy. If you, nah, you're just negative. You'll see. You're going to look. This was a decade ago. I'm still sitting here a decade later going, they've not done anything that they promised. They've done everything that they promised to their shareholders. They've done everything that they promised to raise this club from worth 21 million, whatever they paid for it. I don't care what the exact number is, to 4 billion, 3.5 billion, whatever it is. All right. And me willing to give them a chance this window wasn't me going, oh, I'm leaving Enoch in, but it was, come on, you've scraped in. You've scraped in by hook or crook. You've scraped in. Now show us. And again, they've got zero interest in getting that done. If they were a serious club on the football pitch, Savio would have been done by all costs. Eze would have been in the club 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago when Maddison went down, right? If they wanted another centre-half, they've talked about it all summer. Another centre-half would have been in, whether that's Hincapi, whether that's De Vinter, who went to AC Milan for like 30 million euros or something. If they were a serious club, it would have been boom, 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 done. And we'd all be sitting here going, tell you what, don't like Enoch and Levy, but I'll tell you what, give us another one of those windows, please. And another one. Right now, I'm sitting here more disillusioned than ever. More disillusioned, Mark, as to what is it that they're expecting us to want from this club? And you know what? I'm going to say it, Mark. Sorry, just quickly before you come in. The worst thing that can happen, and please take this in the way it's intended, the worst thing that can happen is beating Man City. Do you know what I mean? I want to beat Man City, but the worst thing that can happen is, man, there we go. There you go. What's all the problem about? What's the noise about? Sorry, Mark, I've talked a lot there, but away you go, mate.
It's all right, man. I just want to say, I think we've touched on it before over the course of last season and probably the season before that as well. If the mentality is not right at the top of the club, right? If the owners are not prepared to put in what's required to raise the levels, yeah, because everyone else is doing it. We're watching the Liverpools pull away from us, even though they're that far gone. They're pulling away even further. We're watching the Arsenals go in there and spend their money on proper players. You know, now I don't think anyone expects, you know, Messi to come to the club. We're not talking about, you know, the top 2% of the players everywhere. I think
I'll take Maradona at this stage, Mark.
Well, you know what I mean, though, Sav. You know what I mean. But what I'm saying is, we went and got the kudos, and I think people could see straight away that this bloke's raising the level. Yeah, when you're talking about an Eze and a Savinio and other players that have been mentioned. And I've got 3 players written down here, Savva, and I'm sure if I mention these players to you now, you'll say to me, yeah, they'll do. And they're all gettable. All 3 of them are gettable, right? Harvey Elliott, Yildiz, the left winger, he's gettable. Don't tell me he's not gettable. And the other one, whether you like him or not, is Lookman. He's available as well.
But, mate, listen, we don't want to do that. By the way, in the last 5 minutes, I've had 3 separate people message me saying that apparently a bid has gone in. I don't know how true this is for Tyler Dibling. Oh. Now, let that sink in. And, oh, my, I feel so 2 ways about this. I feel so sorry for the lad, first and foremost. Yeah. I feel so sorry for him because what I'm going to bitch and moan about for the next year about that signing isn't personal against him. It's about the football club. Look, we'll come to that in a second. Let me do a few super chats. I've got loads. So let me get a few of these out of the way. By the way, guys and girls, there are 1,500 of you in here exactly. 1500. Only 480 likes. Can we please get that to 1,000 ASAP, please? And there's so many of you in here, and I'm 108 away from 22,000. No excuses. 108 away from 22,000. There's now 1,550 of you in here. 50 have come in the last 60 seconds. So please smash that like button. Please subscribe. Big up to Atavatron Wembley. Said, morning all. Hopefully this proves the final straw for Vivian Lewis and she leads the rest of the family trust into ousting the detestable chairman. Sure. By the way, she's got to take some blame as well. The Lewis trust has to take some blame as well. Right? Let's not. Yeah, we'll talk about this in a minute, guys, because let's not just. Yes, Levy, devil, boo, boo, get out. These lot own the club. So we'll come to that in a minute, but big up to you. I don't disagree. Rodney said Levy has added to his hate out list. No way back. Sorry. Big up, Savva. I'm fuming. We're a laughing stock yet again. See how big clubs work. Levy out, out, out. I think everyone's feeling the same today, my man. Big up, Rodney. Really appreciate you, dude. John, big up, Josh, rather. If I could read, that would help, wouldn't it? Said the money Levy was trying to save on Eze will now be added to the fee of the replacement by the selling club, as they know we're desperate. Shambolic. We will go and pay 50 million now for Tyler Dibling.
God.
Right? We will pay 50 million, Josh, for Tyler Dibling, but we wouldn't pay 68 for Eze. Get out this. I'm fuming. Big up, Josh. Really appreciate you. Thanks, mate. Big Boy has said, morning, guys. Your thoughts on Brahim Diaz? I really like Brahim Diaz. Do I see Madrid selling him? Not sure. Good footballer, but mate, at this stage, we can chuck any names we want at it. Spurs are an absolute mess. Big up to you, Big Boy. Big up to Rob Welsh, who said new club. I can't speak. New club motto. Canati Sumas FC. So we tried FC. I don't even know how hard we are trying, mate. I think it should say we loosely tried FC. Big up to you, Rob. Appreciate that. Aris, big up to you. Always very generous out there in Australia. Said many people criticised Marinakis. If he was our owner, this would not have happened. Greeks don't allow it. My nationality. Loosely. No, half. Yeah, absolutely. We all criticise him. I'd love this guy running our club right now compared to what's going on. And that's a sad turn of events. Big up to you. Can't agree more. Reese said, whoever we sign now will be a panic buy that is dressed up as sensible business. Tyler Dibling. Tyler Dibling. Tyler Dibling. I will show this again. Tyler Dibling. Conversation I had with my mate Ash on the 2nd of July. Yeah? And it reads like this. Dibling is my guess. Bingo, you win, right? He will be called the priority in a week's time. This window has got Dibling written all over it, hasn't it? Guarantee it happens, mate. This club is so effing predictable. So effing predictable. Big up to you, Reese. Big up to you. Thank you very much. Jordan Coys, thank you very much. Said every summer we get told Enoch have pumped money into the club, or are we getting outside investment? And every summer this club fails miserably. No matter what the club do now, they can't put a positive spin on this.
Nope.
We'll try, and they will try, and they will try. And the thing is, they will get it over a lot of fans. Big up to you, Jordan. That is a very generous donation indeed. Thank you very much. Andy Lester, channel member, big up to you, has said, this one has hurt me. I've never said Enoch or Levy out, but this is enough for me now. It's as if the board don't understand what this does to a fan. And what makes it worse, Andy, is that they think that the answer to failing is Dibling. That's what's worse for me. That's what's worse. I can take not getting Eze, but now what's your next move? Dibling. Like, ridiculous. Big up to you, Andy. Big up to the Big D. How you doing, bro? Said, I've never been Levy out. A lot of people now saying this. I've never been Levy out, but Levy has fucked us over again. I'm Levy out now. We could have paid the 68 million before Havertz got injured. Embarrassing. Absolutely, my man. Can't agree more. Big up to Gear 8849 has said, a positive reminder, the team actually performs. Positive reminder, the team actually performs. I don't know what this means. I don't know what this means.
Just
Sure.
trying
I
to
don't
put
know what I mean.
a positive spin on it, basically saying that Frank being in charge, obviously we're performing, but you can't spin this, man. You can't. I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry. Like even sometimes, as I keep saying, I said that at the start of the conversation, Savva. I have never really been the guy to just bash someone for the sake of it. But now, when you look back, again, it's the same thing. You're thinking, right? So Paulinho, Bayern owes us money on loan, opportunistic. I'm not saying they're bad signings. Kudus, West Ham needed the money. Again, they were saying 80 million last year. For whatever reason, they haven't got the money. Opportunistic. So now you're thinking every single thing has to be opportunistic, or we don't go in for it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Big up to you. Thank you very much, my man. Big up for the last 7 here. The 2 Mark show. Big up to the sheriff. Said no swearing, boss. You ain't on our channel. He can swear a little bit. It's just not too much. But hey, it is what it is. Big up to you, Mark. Really appreciate that. Big up to N Anoop. Said RB Leipzig said Xavi Simons is available for the right money. Will Lex Luthor come in with the right bid? Can we actually get a proper deal done? Well, Romano said last night that Spurs did approach Xavi Simons in the last few days and that Xavi Simons and his camp have said no. As I've said, you don't go toe-to-toe with Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, City. I'm sorry. I know everyone keeps telling me I'm wrong. You don't. These clubs have more money, more pull, more history, and they win more trophies. It's that simple. Big up to you. Really appreciate that. Rodney has come back in again and said no one has mentioned how Richie must feel today. We'll talk about that in a minute. I promise we will talk about that. Big up, Rodney. Thank you very much, my man. Anoop's come back in again and said if you want to protest, coordinate with season ticket holders and start boycotting the games. Empty stadiums make more noise than some people holding placards. I guess the question is, Anoop, do the season ticket holders want to boycott the games? That's got to be the question, right? And how do you coordinate with every season ticket holder? That's the difficulty, right? But I don't disagree in theory. Big up to Godfrey, who said a poor finish to this window, i.e. a bargain left winger and an attacking central midfielder, for me means boycott all our home games until January the 31st. Again, really difficult when people have paid their money, but I get what you're saying. Big up to the last 2. Andrew Kiddle, big up my man, lives down the road from me. So big up to Savva. Last one on Spurs have tweeted saying we are in for Rodrigo on loan. If we get Rodrigo on loan, I'm questioning Real Madrid's ability to do business. But sure, I can't see it, my man. If we pulled that off, Daniel Levy would have everyone back on side. And that's the problem with this situation. Big up to you. And Marco Gutierrez, just with a super sticker. Thank you very much, Marco. Really appreciate you. By the way, now 2 or 3 different sources all saying that Spurs have now bid for Tyler Dibling. Guys, let's talk about that before we do anything. I'm going to say one word and whoever wants to go can go. Spursy.
I'll just say sort of very quickly. It's the same thing I keep saying over again, regardless of whether people like certain youngsters that we bring in or not, e.g. Tel, Odobert, etc. These guys should be brought in to learn under more experienced players, quality players. We don't do that. So that's it.
I mean, anyone else? I mean, Connor, let me come to you. I mean, as I said, I feel sorry because this isn't about him. But if we've got into Champions League football and our answer is to buy a teenager who's had 1 year at Southampton, didn't even do anything, like hasn't got, it's not like he's got magical numbers, or this is just fucking embarrassing, isn't it?
It's shocking, mate. I mean, it's look, and it's no reflection on him, as you say, and unfortunately for him, if he ends up coming in, he's going to be judged with the yardstick, that he was the alternative to Eze or Savinho or whatever, which is unfair on him, as you said. But the problem is we've got enough young wingers that may or may not make it, right? You've got Tel, you've got Odobert, you've got Yang, who's gone out on loan, you've got Mikey Moore, who's gone out on loan. We need to be signing established players. In what world do you move from being linked to an Eze And I know Savinho's young, but he's way more established than Dibling.
The Liga team of the year.
To a Tyler Dibling. And look, but is it a surprise? These are the deals that this ownership can get over the line because it's a team that's been relegated, you know, and that deal is there to be done. So it doesn't shock me at all.
But
this
Connor,
is the
look at
type of
this.
player we're in
Connor, look
for.
at this. This are the levels we're talking about.
Oh.
Look.
I mean, I wasn't even that impressed with Dibling, I have to say, when I watched him last year. You know,
No, me neither.
I saw someone actually say on someone respected-ish in the Spurs community on Twitter that it was the same as buying Grealish. And I thought, like back in the day from Villa, and I thought, he's not done anything like what Grealish did for Villa. He's not even close.
Grealish was carrying his team at his age.
Absolutely. Grealish was winning matches, right? Dibling ain't done that.
There needs to be, it's a bit like the El Canouse one, right? Players like Dibling and El Canouse should be signing for the likes of Crystal Palace. No offense to any of these clubs, West Ham, those sort of clubs that are we are the ninth richest now club in the world, and we're going after player. It just beggars belief. But what you'll have, Sav, I bet you, if we go onto YouTube later today, there'll be a load of videos saying, "Oh, this is why Dibling can solve all of Tottenham's problems," and people start to accept it. And this is the problem.
Connor, do you want to see something else? You know, I've just shown you him versus Savio, which is probably unfair, but hey, there was only like 18 months difference in their age or something. Like, look at this, right? I kid you not. This is his FB ref stats. I'm sorry. I don't want to.
I mean, the other problem is he's not even the right position of what we should be targeting right now because he plays up on the right.
Look at this. Now, this is that for anyone that doesn't know. So this is, where are we? FB ref here. So look, this is him in the last 365 days against all the other attacking midfielders and wingers and the percentiles he's in, right? So normally when you see, I'll show you in a minute, someone like Savio, right? Normally nearly all of this is in the 90th percentile green. Look, 8%, 10%, 10, 1, 4, 1, 12, 20. All right, 80, 34, 51, 80, 5, 10. Right? Now let me show you this. This is what it looks like when you get a player like Savio. I'm sorry. This is just absolutely insane. This is insane. I can't begin to tell you guys how angry this makes me that is the planning of Tottenham Hotspur. Everton wanted this guy.
I'm sorry, but exactly that. That's the word you've used there, Savva, is key. Planning. Nothing prevents Tottenham Hotspur to plan properly, regardless of whether there are oil states, regardless of whether there are, oil clubs, state clubs, whatever you want to call it. Nothing prevents us from planning properly. Like Connor said, we are the 9th richest club. Our PSR headroom is huge. We should be, our club should be sat there looking at the likes of Liverpool and how they've gone from a team that was never achieving anything in the Premier League other than top 4 to where they've got to with proper planning. Liverpool sold Coutinho in his prime to Barcelona and invested heavily to improve the team, and that has got them to where they've got to. We sold Harry Kane and brought in Archie Gray and brought in Solanke and brought in Odobert in that summer. It's all about what gets to the bottom line. And I think it was Connor or Chris who said it. Yes, it's absolutely wonderful if you're looking at it from a business perspective and how he's managed for himself. Let's not get this twisted. He's managed to get the club into a situation where the valuation has spiraled, right? He's managed to get the club into a situation where it's prime for takeover, and he's got all these great, wonderful ideas from a financial perspective, but for whatever reason, every single reshuffle, well, we've reshuffled the board, we've reshuffled the recruitment team, we've reshuffled the medical team, it never changes. Every 2 years, we're bringing new board members into this board, and nothing ever changes. It's crazy. Crazy.
And
Can-
Manny, this is the reason, right? This is the reason, when, and Sav, I think I've been consistent with this when we've spoken. I never got into these debates about, is it Levy doing the deals? Is it Vinay? Is it Peter Charrington? None of that matters.
Yeah.
As long as Enoch owned the football club, they set the parameters for how the football club is run, whereby the football club is deprioritised against everything else, and all they're in it for is to maximise their return on as little investment as possible. That is the way. That is their modus operandi. So you can have Vinay, Levy, Doris, the tea lady, making the decisions. It won't matter. It won't matter until Enoch are out of this football club. We will continue to operate this way for every single window. And we had a period whereby, thanks to Poch being an absolutely outstanding coach, we punched above our weight. And you've only got to go back to that Poch period. We spent £13 million net a year for the 5 years in the run-up to the stadium. We got in the Champions League and had transfer windows where we didn't make a single signing. It's an absolute farce the way this football club is run. Absolute farce.
Connor, just to add to that, I totally agree. It's why I'm always like Levy out's an irrelevance, really. I know he owns 29.9% of the business, but to all intents and purposes, Levy is just an employee, right? That 29.9% does not get him a right to be our chairman. What that does, the reason why he's there is because the board want him to be the chairman. And if they had any issue with the way he'd run the club, he wouldn't have been here for 25 years doing it. It tells you that they're perfectly happy. And why would you not be, by the way, if you're just in it for the business?
Fantastic job for Enoch.
Of course. So people who lose their mind going how terrible he is and how disgraceful he is and what a bad businessman he is are all completely wrong. If you only take over a company to maximize your investment, which is what Enoch stands for, right? Investment company. They said this when they came in. He's done a bloody brilliant job for them. Why would they want to change anything? Because I'm going to repeat the same phrase. I don't think you were on, Connor, but I like it. Levy, Enoch as a whole have divorced the success of the business of Tottenham Hotspur from the success of the football team. It doesn't matter what the team do. The business side is a massively successful. They're happy with that. Why would you not want the guy mostly responsible for appreciating your investment by 200 times to carry on doing the job while there are still hotels to be built? So absolutely, people who are focused on Levy are focusing on the wrong thing, in my view, because if you get rid of him, I think there's a very high likelihood that his replacement is Levy 2.0.
Spot on. Spot on.
Dibling. Tyler. Sorry, I just had to answer the door to the postman. And you know what I said? I said, thanks for my post. I said, can you believe it, mate? We're getting Dibling. And even he laughed. Guys, I am absolutely, I don't even know why I'm shocked. I don't know why I'm shocked. Tyler,
I tell you why, Savva. I tell you
Dibling.
why. I tell you why you're shocked. You're shocked because you would have thought that people cannot be this daft, right? This unambitious to behave and operate this way. This is why I can't believe I'm getting more and more wound up as minutes go on. I just cannot believe how you can literally just run a business this way. I can't believe this, because in my workplace, you behave like this, you are sacked. You are sacked. And it's
No, but he's not, Manny. That's the thing. That's what me and Connor are saying. He's not, because he is. Of course,
I get that.
He's doing what his remit is.
Sorry. Let me rephrase. When I say you, I don't mean Levy. I mean Enoch in general, because technically we are their customer base. We are their clients, and they're letting every single person down. So yes, if you're looking from a perspective of,
guys, just quickly,
of course,
just quickly, because I don't know how. I've asked Tobes to pop on. I don't know how long he's got because he's at work. But Tobes, thanks for popping on. Like Tottenham royalty from the Big Six, Tobes. How are you, mate? You good?
Not really, no, to be honest. Not really.
What, you're not even happy to see my little face?
I mean, it's good to be back on the stream with you, but bro, I can't even lie to you. I'm just I'd say I'm at a loss for words.
Like a funeral when you say you hope it could be in better circumstances, isn't it?
Look, Tobes, let me get. I want to get Spurs' main reaction in a minute. I want to get your immediate reaction to this news that apparently we've put in a bid for Tyler Dibling. Go. I'll let go on. The floor is yours.
If I say what I want to say, I'll be suspended 6 months, bro. On Tyler Dibling joining the football club, and this is no disrespect to the player. I watched him for Southampton. Yeah, he looks like a good prospect. But guess what? He's 19 years old. He scored less goals than flipping Richarlison last season. I know they don't play in the same position, but I'm saying Richarlison, he barely played games for Tottenham last year. We've got Tel Odebert, who are prospects. We've only got one certified winger that's available now, certified, and that's Kudus. Brennan Johnson, he is effectively null and void on the flanks. He's only active in the box when he's running onto things. Who is going to be the partner for Kudus whilst we wait on Tel, whilst we wait on Odebert? Why are Spurs potentially going out of their way to sign another player we have to wait? Why must we always have to wait? And when we do have to wait, is the reward we're waiting on even good? Is it good enough? We're waiting on Tel, we're waiting on Odebert. I don't know what everyone's opinions on those two players are on this panel, but I like them. I think they're prospects, but that's exactly what they are. They are prospects. You cannot put first team responsibility on these guys, because when they inevitably crumble under those expectations, who do we turn to? They're both 20 years old. Going for a 19-year-old who doesn't even give you an uplift on what they give you, and paying a king's ransom for that 19-year-old, mind you, it would be scandalous business, honestly. It would be scandalous and scary business. If this club sanctioned any sort of deal for Tyler Dibling, just put the club on ice and just call it a day. Honestly, call it a day, because I don't know what we're doing here. And people will say, "Oh no, but Savinho, he only scored 1 goal last year." Okay, I get it. Savinho's 21 years old. He only scored 1 goal, but you watch them play. He is quite clearly levels above Tyler Dibling. You look at his creative numbers last year. Okay, he didn't get the goals, but creatively, you look at what he was doing in that Man City team. That is someone who, okay, we may end up having to overpay for, but at least you're overpaying on a player who's actually shown a distinct level of quality. It's not mine. It's not mine. Tyler Dibling is a kid, bro. I'm sorry. Tyler Dibling is a kid. What are we doing with these kids? Kids. Didn't we learn our lesson from last summer on padding this team with kids?
Tobes, doesn't it show that there's no planning? Because if Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, if they miss out on a target like an Eze, their fullback isn't going to find a 19-year-old kid who's been relegated from another team. Their fullback is, we didn't get like Man City, cool. Didn't get Wirtz because he went to Man City. He went to Liverpool. We'll go and get Rayan Cherki. Do you know what I mean? Like they're going to get players like that. We're going to get Dibling. This is another relegated player. I'm not saying that players that get relegated are bad. That's not the point I'm making. But this is a player that Everton just went in for. Are we now going in for the level of players that Everton and Palace are? Is that what this stadium was built for? Is that why we qualified for Champions League, Tobes? This is the lowest of the low, isn't it? And we're at rock bottom here.
it's literally scary business, because it's like this club, they deal in extremes and for all the wrong reasons. And what I mean by that is there's no balance. They're always they're always reactive. So they used to be a reactive club. They would wait until a player is basically finito, turned to dust. They did it with Alderweireld. They did it with Vertonghen. They did it with Moussa Dembele. They did it with so many. They've done it with so many players. They'll wait until these players are literally rinsed beyond belief before they make a move. And by the time they make a move, it's too late. The team's already lagging. Cool. We then pivoted towards, okay, you know what? We've got too many old players in our team. We're going to move towards an approach of signing young players. But instead of doing the sensible thing and signing young players who are actually good enough to come in and play straight away alongside experienced players, and experience doesn't mean 30 years old. Experience literally means you have played a sufficient amount of league games. You have a sufficient amount of responsibility in actually delivering for the team that you're playing for. They don't do those things. What they'll do is they'll go for a young kid. They'll overpay for that young kid. And then they'll say, okay, yeah, we're going to go into the season here, Frank, take these kids, but still get us Champions League, still get us Europa League, still do this, still do that. It doesn't make any sense to me. We didn't learn our lesson from last summer. Last summer, we only signed one starter. We knew the season. We knew the squad that we had assembled was not strong enough to go into that season. We knew that. Everybody knew that. They didn't rectify it. Oh, I want to choose my words carefully here. This summer, they've at least signed Kudus and Palhinha. But such is the states in which they left the squad in last year and the years of playing catch up, that there are still gaps. What about the left side of the defense? What about the midfield? What about the attack? There's still more that needs to be done, and you cannot resolve these issues by just signing kids, because guess what? You're going to have a team full of kids that all need time, that all need to develop. So who's going to be the player that we're going to actually rely upon to actually do something in these games?
Negligent.
Yeah, I mean, look. So I don't know how long you've got, mate. So just I do appreciate you coming on. Just tell me. I've seen your video, and if anyone hasn't, after this, go and watch Tobe's video. Which, if I'm not wrong, and if I've misquoted you, I'm sorry. It literally says fold this club now. Like I feel like
literally fold them.
Literally.
My friend said it to me on the chat yesterday. I said, yeah, I'm with you. Literally fold them. Like I was saying it on WhatsApp. Like my life would be so much better if I wasn't a Spurs fan. If I didn't love this club, honestly, my life would be 10 times better. It would be. I'd have more time for the things that I care about. I'd have less anger, less random anger that I carry in my system. I'd have more money in my pocket because I wouldn't be spending it on my season ticket, traveling to watch this team, this, that, and the third. My life would be better for it. But unfortunately, I'm tired. I'm tired. There's not really much I can do to detach.
Isn't it an inability to read the room as well? Like, not you, sorry, not in here. No, I think it's an inability that, okay, we failed. We can hold our hands up and go, we failed to get the Eze deal over the line. We can have that inquest. Was it Eze? Was it his agents holding out for Arsenal? Was it because of Havertz? Was it because of release clauses? Was it because of payment terms? We can have all that. I'm cool in the knowledge that deals don't get done. Not every club gets every deal they want, Tobes, right? I'm not cool with when that happens. The reaction to that can't be going back to type. The reaction to that needs to be, for me, going and asking Man City, how much you want for Savio? I don't care if we've got to pay 20 million more than they want. Go and get him. Right. How much do you want for, I don't know, Harvey Elliott? How much do you want for, I'm running out of player names, right? Because of the time of the window it is. That's what I want to see, Tobes, that the transfer team, I want to see that Levy, Vinay, Paratici, Lang, I want to see every single one of those people living at the Tottenham Hotspur training ground for the next 11 days doing this. I don't want to see one of them without a phone in their hand. And what have we done? Dibling. Like I honestly, I want to, if I wasn't live on my stream, I want to say so many naughty words right now.
Mate, trust me. You don't know. I've got all those naughty words literally just floating in my head.
I'm
like
furious.
Like, you know, like I said it on my video, like I don't want to incite violence, but there needs to be consequences. Genuinely, there needs to be consequences for this level of incompetence. And I get your point. Deals, not every deal gets over the line. Not every deal materializes, right? But it feels like with Spurs, it is always the case for us. It's the case that happens to Spurs more than any other club. Morgan, look at what you just said about throwing the money down. Man City don't get messed about like we did for Morgan Gibbs-White. Arsenal, okay, cool. You could say that by the time Arsenal came in for him, Crystal Palace had already sewn up their replacement in El Khanous, and the player always wanted to join the club. But why am I reading that Arsenal offered more favorable payment terms, better personal terms to the player? Why is it that Arsenal can just come in, do that, like that, and the deal was done within a matter of hours? Why? Why is it that that can happen for them, but it can't happen for us? And to your point as well, where do we go from here? You're 100% right. There are players out there that can improve the team, but what really frustrates me is, and I think we said this at the time of Morgan Gibbs-White, like this one hurts me way more than the Morgan Gibbs-White one, because the Morgan Gibbs-White one, he's a good player, don't get me wrong, and I'm frustrated that we spent so long on a prime target, the manager, not to get him. But that one didn't really hurt me as much, at least from the player perspective, because he's a good player, but he's not crying over spilt milk. It's not like Spurs can't go out with that money in your hand and go and sign better. But this Eze one really, really hurts me, because it's like when you look at the players that have been within our reach this summer, for me, he is literally the outstanding candidate. There's no player that we've been linked with this summer, in my opinion, don't have to agree, but in my opinion, that is currently at the level that he is at. So to miss him, that's a huge fumble for me. And now to pivot potentially to Tyler Dibling, God give me strength, honestly. God give me strength.
Yeah, Tobes, I think the other problem is, sorry, Sav, I think the other problem is
just quickly, Cookie, I think you need to leave, don't you? So thanks for coming on, mate. I really appreciate you. I know everyone's not in a good mood this morning, but thank you. I do appreciate it.
Not really. Big up, Sav. Big up to everyone on the panel. Big up to everyone in the chat, and I'll see you all again soon. Thanks for having me on, Sav.
Cheers, Mark. Cheers, mate. Take care, mate.
See you soon. Take care.
No, sorry, Connor. Didn't mean to be rude there, mate.
No, that's right. Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that the thing is as well, this Eze deal proves beyond all reasonable doubt what a lot of fans were accusing Levy of on other deals, because of the fact that that release clause existed. So with this Eze deal, if we believe what Ornstein says, Arsenal have ended up paying effectively what the release clause was, and we were willing to match that. So we were willing to pay 68 million, but the deal was effectively not happened. We didn't trigger the release clause because we didn't want to pay as much cash up front, even though we absolutely could have. So all of these accusations that a lot of fans made about Levy in terms of haggling over really small minor details, such as payment terms, have been absolutely proven right on this Eze deal specifically. And this is the problem. And, you know, this is a football club that has decided to spend £125 million of its cash in the last 3 years on property. So, you know, as I keep saying, it's a choice for us. We didn't want that deal to happen.
But do we? Just because we match it up, I want to play devil's advocate here. If you're Eze, are you choosing Tottenham or are you choosing Arsenal?
Yeah, but Connor,
regardless of what's happened,
Nick,
right?
he's not making that point though. He's not making that point, because Connor's right. Because I had the feeling that this was a bit of a cheek anyway. But at 60 million, I was saying to some person, a YouTuber, saying this don't look right. 60 million is taking the mick, right? And when people, I said it on Just Dan's channel right now, yeah, right. I'm making you right, Connor. Yeah, don't get used to it. Yeah, right. The point is though, yeah, is that when we got agents, yeah, that we're comfortable with, we've got good terms with, yeah, right? When there was a little bit of a stalemate on the deal, they were just thinking, we're getting mugged off here. Crystal Palace, we're getting mugged off here, right? We need to do something for our manager, because our manager's going to be out the door, because we're going to lose our top player for penance, yeah? So they're thinking, Arsenal were interested a minute ago, yeah? Let's wait for them. And look what happened.
Yeah,
Kai
but
gets
they wouldn't
injured.
have come in. They wouldn't have come in, Alex, if Havertz didn't get injured.
Yeah. That's the point I'm making. That's the point I'm making because people are saying this deal was done on Saturday, right?
Sunday morning.
Sunday,
yeah?
whatever it was. Yeah?
Yeah.
So obviously they're sitting there thinking we can get more out of this, right? Obviously, 100%. Okay. Even his agents were thinking that as well. So that's what's happened. And Arsenal just come and swooping, got the deal done easily, all day, every single day.
Can I just say
That's exactly the
something?
point, right?
Sorry.
Sorry, let me just
Yeah,
respond
go
to
on,
Barry's
go on.
point. That's exactly the point we had. So it was what 4 weeks ago the Gibbs White deal, longer I think that the Gibbs White deal fell through. So then we pivot from Gibbs White to Eze, right? At that point, Havertz wasn't injured. Arsenal had distanced themselves from the deal. We could have triggered the release clause given that was the ultimate price that's ended up being paid at that point. If Arsenal had then matched us and also triggered the release clause and he chooses Arsenal, I would say, do you know what? Fair enough, it happens. He wants to go to Arsenal over Spurs. The problem is we fucked around for weeks trying to negotiate on payment terms. So we can't, as a club, say we've done absolutely everything in our power to make the deal happen. And we have allowed Arsenal to come back in at this point post the Havertz injury.
Spot
And
on.
Connor,
that's the
let me
problem for
just
me.
adapt to that because that's exactly what I was gonna say, right? Because it's all about the timing, right? Because Arsenal were hovering about with regards to Eze at the start of the window. They went on and bought Gyökeres and paid 50 million for Madueke, and the reports that came out was that they were not willing to go any further with regards to Palace's valuation. And that's exactly what Connor is speaking about. At that point in time, his release clause was still active. It was still active. That, if you want to talk about doing everything in your power, that is the point where you do trigger the release clause. We all know that Eze was happy to come to us as well, as long as obviously Arsenal were not on the table. So it's all about that timing. We just waited because of this haggling, right? Haggle. And then what happens? Havertz gets injured. The people in the boardroom at Arsenal go, oh, actually, you know what? Let's go back in for Eze. It's not really about if we trigger a clause and Arsenal triggers a clause, are we expecting him to come to us? No, that we understand that. Savva said that at the very start of the show. Food chain. We get that. But with things, it's all about timing. And us wasting time haggling over a deal when Arsenal were not looking to come in for him, that is where we fumbled the bag. That is where everything has broken down. And that's why we're in this position at this moment.
And this
Fully
is why
agree.
You know, isn't it?
Fully
Sorry,
agree.
go
Fully
on.
agree. No, I was going to say 100% agree because I think a lot of people are looking at this now and saying, "Oh, what did Spurs fans expect in a race with Arsenal?" That's the whole point, dummy. We didn't want to get into a bidding war with Arsenal because we know what the outcome is. Everyone knew that the Eze deal wasn't even on the cards at the start of the summer because I don't know about you lot, but I had accepted Eze going to Arsenal because when they come into the picture, there's only one winner. But when they didn't make a move and they were stalling, that was our opportunity to seize a moment and to try and get the player. Like Manny just said now, we only have ourselves to blame.
We only got the deal. We only got the deal. We only got the deal because Maddison got injured. That was the only reason. That was the only thing that triggered it, basically. You know what I mean? When we should have got him before the whole thing. You know what I mean? Sorry to interrupt you, Tobes, but
it's fair. Like again, no, I don't disagree. Like we used Maddison as a reason to go in for him when he was a player that the club have had a long-standing interest in. Like we had an opportunity to sign him last summer, we didn't take it. We had an opportunity to sign him the summer before last summer, we didn't take it. And it's like now you've been given a third opportunity to try and get this guy, and you're shuffling as if like you've got all the time in the world. This isn't it's not like you're signing. Like I'm not even gonna dig him out here because again I don't know the people's appetite, but you're not signing like Tell or Odeberg. You're not signing Archie Gray. You're not signing players where you are going out your way to pay a premium for a young guy that isn't really highly regarded in like not highly regarded, but isn't really being chased by like multiple big clubs. You're signing a player who's in the prime of his career. And he is literally being courted by a team who finished second in the league last year, a team who have more resources than you, a bigger name than you, and he has more affinity to their club. So it's in your best interest to do everything you can to get this deal done fast. No haggling.
Devil's advocate.
Let's be fair. Sorry, just quickly, Chris. Let's be fair. If Tottenham and Arsenal entered the Eze talks at the same time, I don't think anyone's really truly expecting that he picks us. I think you'll have a few deluded ones that think we can compete with Arsenal. But realistically, you're going, no, Arsenal are going to get that, right?
100% every day of the week.
I think the biggest problem here for everyone is that even the reports coming out from people like Ornstein. Now, Ornstein is someone that he doesn't just tweet for fun, and you do kind of respect his opinion, right? Ornstein saying Spurs were going to pay the exact same amount as Arsenal, but Arsenal had offered better terms, which means essentially they're going to get the money quicker or more upfront. It's one of those two options. What's more worrying about this is there are still fans that are going, if we had just put down more money, yet last night, people going, go back in and bid again. I don't think they're realizing at this point, the player's mind is made up. Yeah. At this point, that's not when you offer them more money. You offer them more money in the week before when you're in the negotiations, right, Chris? Like that's when you offer more.
I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit because I know today the prevailing narrative is going to be to bash Levy and Tottenham and the way we've done. And I'm not defending it, right? For me, as I've said, that the body of evidence over 25 years is indisputable. But I think we are cherry picking certain things. We don't know because none of us are in the negotiations. So we've got to go with what we read, right? So there are other bits of information out there. Arsenal agreed the terms with Palace on the 10th of August, according to Miguel Delaney. So that's why it was done so quickly. But I think there's a world here in which, yes, we could have put the release clause down, but that doesn't get him over the line. Eze's got to agree, right? Eze has known from the beginning of the summer that Arsenal were interested. So when Spurs come in, I think if I'm Eze, the first thing I'm doing is getting the agent to go ring Arsenal and see. I'm only joining Tottenham at the point at which I know Arsenal are definitely not coming in. So if the message from Arsenal is wait, we might still come in yet. We're not sure. We've agreed terms with Palace, but the narrative was online that they were trying to sell players first. Well, now it's changed because Havertz has got injured. So I think there's every possibility here that we have been played rather by Eze. And also we're blaming Daniel Levy, but also the information out there says that Steve Parish was continually moving the goalposts. So I'm totally on board with the narrative, the overarching narrative of Levy's given us evidence over 25 years that there's issues with the way he runs the club from a football perspective. I do think at times like this, when it's emotional, we just want to cherry pick whatever we want to pick.
Nah, I don't agree.
You can disagree, but the information's out there, right?
I don't agree.
And I'll just respond. Well, sorry, that's bad luck then. Sorry. Tough luck, as far as I'm concerned. We've got what the just desserts are. Right?
I agree from a Levy perspective.
You know what I mean? Because as far as I'm concerned, it was always going to happen like that. Everyone knows the chairman, the way that we act. I said, that 60 million was advisory for Eze, right? That's less than bloody Cunha, less than bloody Mbremo, right? Everyone was talking about all these players have a certain amount to be paid for, right? It's less than bloody Semenyo.
But the release fee doesn't mean he joins, Alex, does it?
No. That's not the point I'm making, though. That's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is that Tottenham Hotspur, if they were making the effort to get this deal done, they act serious by putting the money on the table and actually put something there to not take the mick out of Crystal Palace. You know what I mean?
Sorry, can I just say something quickly on your point, Chris? I get the point that you're making, right? But what the part that we can't, you can't overlook is the fact that Eze didn't agree a deal, personal terms with us this week. He agreed personal terms with us start of last week. So at that point,
to join though, Manny, doesn't mean he wants to join. My point is, we could have been played by him to the point of, I will join you, but only when I know Arsenal are definitely not coming in.
But at that point in time, Havertz not being injured, the whole narrative was that Arsenal were not coming in for him anymore.
You don't know.
Hang on. I've got different information to that. I've got some different information to that. Now, this might throw some cat amongst pigeons. A couple of the really big Arsenal ITK people, like we have Paul O'Keefe and those types. a couple of the really big ITK people have said that Arsenal went in for him earlier in the window, like to agree personal terms and get the framework done, and then asked to be informed the moment that Spurs or anybody else had reached a fee. Now, this is the only way I'm willing to let this slide. But my issue here isn't that it's just Eze. That's not my issue. My issue is that if it's not Eze, okay, cool. Where's your next 5 that are lined up? But if that is the case, I've said this before. I used to work for Chelsea. I know everyone laughs at. Used to work for Chelsea. When I was there, speaking to all the staff there, this is what Chelsea do. Chelsea have 25, 35, 50 targets across a summer, and they ask to be informed the moment a deal is close. The moment a player gets near the fee, they ask to be informed, and then those clubs go, we'll have it. The same way we didn't get Luis Diaz, right? Liverpool would have been asked to be kept informed on Luis Diaz. Now, if that has happened, what do you do? But that doesn't change the fact that we will never know, because Levy could have whacked down the release clause, and maybe at that time Arsenal didn't go. You don't know. It's all up in the air, right? It's all ifs, buts, and maybes. But the problem is, guys, it's the embarrassment again that we've gone in for 2 players from 2 clubs that we are bigger than, right? Don't let Wolfie banter you. We are bigger than Palace. We are bigger than Forest. And we've gone in for 2 of their best players and not walked away with 1. We've not walked away with 1. We are, from that point of view, Daniel Levy needs to be held accountable. For me, that's the way I see it. Trying to be as level-headed as possible. That's the way I see it.
I think he needs to be held accountable with the way that he's not active with the director of football, making sure that the director of football is good enough to have other options, like we have with Prodigy. Not that I like Prodigy, I couldn't stand him, right? But like the fact is, like Prodigy would have 2, 3, 4 options were actually decent enough to negate the fact that we missed out on a certain player.
What's that based
That's the
on?
thing. Well, I'm just looking at it the past. The thing. Listen, I don't.
No. Hang on. You've thrown it out there. Paratici always does. Based on what? When have we ever seen Paratici have we hear that he has multiple options, but then we still bring in crap
I'm just
players.
looking at the rumours. I'm not saying that he was the best one.
Right,
No, I'm
okay.
not. I'm just saying that he listen. I didn't rate Prodigy. I'm just saying that with what he was working like, his activity was looking at 5, 6 other players in a similar position that were much more similar quality. That's what I'm saying at the moment. You see what I'm saying? At the moment, don't seem that we've got a plan. Tyler Dibling, that's why I left yesterday. As soon as you mentioned Tyler Dibling, Savva, I was like, sorry, bye-bye, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, not for me. You know what I mean? Not for me. I can't do this Marcus Mattis-Tell. I can't do all the Bear. I can't do all our youngsters because they're not ready. I need players that are ready to go straight away. You know what I mean? Like Kudos, who's not even to the point. You get what I'm saying? So this is
Alex, the issue with all of this, we can go round and round in circles. The issue is all of this. People still buy their season tickets. People will still go to the shop. People will still turn up, but they won't turn up to protest, or they won't make a big thing about it because they're happy with what they got. So they're not. Do you know what I mean? I'm sat here without my season ticket. I'm in a happier place by not having my season ticket this season. Yeah,
That's why I give credit. That's why I give credit to Connor. That's why I came on, because I give credit to Connor because he turned up for which I would. You know what? I was thinking about going to that protest before the match. Right. That's why I give credit to Connor for turning up for that protest, because that is exactly what we should have done. Exactly what we should have done. We should have kept
on day one
going.
of the season.
Yep, absolutely, 110%. I'm sorry, that is exactly what we should have done, because you keep consistent, you keep the beast on it straight away, saying sorry. Doesn't matter whether you won the Europa League. Doesn't matter whether you've given us kudos. You've got to. We're still on at you to say sorry. We want to still see more, right? And we're not going to let it go. Right, because I'm sorry, last season, like I said before, I don't want to remind it, was the worst season I've ever seen in my whole life. It's the reason why I'm more looking forward to the carnival this weekend than bloody watching Tottenham. Let's be honest here. You know what I mean?
Actually, I agree with Alex, but I'm going to say, don't get used to it, Alex. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I agree with Alex that I understand the criticism of the timing of the protest, but the protest should not be dependent on whether we sign Eze, whether we've had a good window, whether we've just won the Europa League, because the protest should be about a balanced view of, are these the right owners to take us forward based on 25 years of evidence? If you're going to get swayed, as we're seeing today, by one failed transfer, they're not serious. Like Nick says, like the big thing for me now.
It's not being swayed by one, is it, Chris? Everybody.
Well, where were they, Savva? Where were they on Saturday? Then?
Yeah, but hang on. But the difference is, I think for some people, it's the breaking point is at a different time. So, for example, when I was speaking to Ricky Sachs this morning, you know, he was saying, he said to me, Sav, look, you know, I haven't always been ENIC and Levy out, but he said I hit a point last season where I hit my breaking point, and he said it's different for every person. I don't think
Alex is saying you've got to be consistent. You can't have 2,000 when we're 17th in the league, then 20 at the start of the season. That's not a serious.
I understand, but if you're gonna at the same point, if you're gonna promote a protest, didn't they post it out like with 4 days before the game?
There's still 60,000 going to the match, though, right?
But that doesn't change people's timings on when. You know,
so you're telling me that only 20 people could change their plans to go and support that.
Listen, I said from the beginning, right? I said I think the worst time to protest is literally the first game after you've just won a European trophy. But for me, that was the killer. That's where I think
there's a comment saying I'm a Levy apologist. If you think I'm a Levy apologist, you've not listened to anything I've said.
No,
I agree. I think like I said, I think the mark of it is being consistent, right? Sometimes it might not feel right, but unfortunately you have to be consistent, because let's be honest here, last season was terrible. Like I said, I've been different for a long time since that season, because it was absolutely goddamn useless as far as I'm concerned, right? And for me, it was the right thing to do. I should have been there, right? Unfortunately, other things got in the way, but I should have been there. And Connor, I've given credit to all those 20 people that turned up, because that's exactly what I should have done, right? Because, you know, you've got to be consistent, because as far as I'm concerned, the only way that they're going to be picked up on things that are happening at the moment is being consistent, not allowing certain things to happen all the time, not allowing them to get away with anything. You know what I mean? As far as I'm concerned. So that's exactly what should have happened for me, and that's why I wanted to say it to his face. I wanted to say it to his face, Connor. You know what I mean? Because I haven't really spoken to him, but I just wanted to say it to him, because at least he turned up. I should have turned up. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, but I have to say though, Savva's point still stands. Like Chris, I think the point that Savva is making is you need to understand human behavior. I get the point you're making, and
it's a little condescending, but carry on.
No, I'm not saying you. When I say you have to understand human behavior, I'm talking about, you know, whoever is in charge of change for Tottenham, etc. Like in general in life, human behavior would dictate that when someone is mentally happy, the chances are, if you take 100 people, 90% of those 100 people are always going to be in that happy state, and you're not going to get the result that you want to get. That's what I meant. I didn't mean you need to understand human behavior.
Fundamentally, yeah, fair enough. I accept that. Yeah. But that fundamentally means the process will never get anywhere, because it's not about ENIC then, is it? It's about how we're doing in the league, which is why there were 2,000 there when we're 17th, and why there's 20 there when we're not 17th. And we're really unhappy today. We're really unhappy today, but let's not say Bournemouth, whatever the home game is after that, we've started really well. We're third in the league. No one's going to go to the protest, because they're not serious. They're all about how are we doing right now. That's my problem with it. I'm fully behind the protest.
Chris, that's why I've personally said I don't think whenever I talk about the protests, and Tobes, I'll be interested to get your take on this in a second. Whenever we talk about the protests, right, we get, I always say I don't think it will work, right? Because the club is worth so much money, and because football is now a revenue stream at Tottenham, right? I think there's a huge difference between like when Newcastle protested to get Mike Ashley out and the club was worth £330 million. Huge difference to when you're worth $4 billion and you've got deals with deals and sponsors with boxing, DAZN and concerts and NFL. I think is a very different subject matter. I think the problem that you've got here is I've always said I don't think it will work because I think for it to work, you're going to need the masses, and the masses never appear. So when I do a show like this, we've got 1,500 people watching, and I'll always have more than half the chat all going, Savva, what about the protest? Are you going to protest now? Protest. But when the protests turn up, where are all these people that were from my chat? All of the protests, the people that keep talking about it in Tottenham Away's chat, and the people that will do it in Last Word on Spurs chat, probably in the Big Six chat tones, people go, we must protest. Right? Where are all those people when that happens? This is why I always say, I don't think ENIC and Levy care, because they are earning their money. They are you go to the stadium, the queue coming out of the club shop is just fucking ridiculous. For any event, it could be NFL. The club shop changes loads of helmets and, American footballs. And I mean, Tobes, where are you at with this whole protest thing? I think it's an awkward one.
It's definitely awkward, and I say this as someone who has a season ticket and is someone who like wants to watch the team play. But that's less on Levy and just more because I love football. Like that's just my thing. Like I need it in my life. Do you get what I'm saying? But on the protest thing, I think it's difficult, and I do see what Change for Spurs are doing. Like I see that they're trying, but I think it's difficult because, to your point, it's very hard to get people to congregate when there isn't like a mass crisis. And I think all it takes is a couple of good results and people just not make it a priority. All of a sudden, you'll stop talking about Levy. You'll stop talking about the impact that he has in our club. And I think the challenge for Change for Spurs is to make this something that is consistent, irrespective of how well the club are doing. We could be top of the league for all that matters. Yep. They need, and it's hard. I'm not digging them out. It's hard. It's very hard. And it's also availability as well. Because as much as I love football, like, you know me, Savva, on the Big Six, we do streams most Sundays. So some Sundays now, like most Sundays, I don't even get to go down to the stadium. So like when the last two protests they've had, I've not been able to go because I had to be elsewhere. So like on my part, like I feel like I could do more, but from my part, I talk routinely about how much I think Daniel Levy needs to go. I don't like his influence on our football club. Even this entire summer, even with Kudus, even with Palhinha, it's not enough. And I think the challenge for Change for Spurs is creating some sort of consistent cadence, right? I think what they did last year, I remember there was a big one they did last year that was really good. Really, really good. Yeah. But what they need to do is they need to make it like a constant thing. Every month we're going to do something. Okay, not just march to the ground, but let's get people to go. Let's get people to come to the games, but leave your seat empty. If you're going to protest outside the stadium, leave your seat empty. Like, show the regular displeasure of fans towards the ownership. And I think that's the challenge. And it's difficult for them to corral the Spurs fans, because a lot of Spurs fans, they're motivated by different things. And some are motivated by results, some are motivated by transfers, some are motivated by the coach. Like, it's difficult.
Coach, do you think there needs to be one consistent message though? Like, I think
yes.
The problem for me is when I see the video clips of the protest, I see some people are singing Levy out. Change for Tottenham are saying change for Tottenham, which isn't Levy out, it's change. So you got Levy out, change for Tottenham. Some people are singing about Levy, and in the same sentence, I don't care about Levy, he don't care about me, all I care about is Kulusevski, which I completely think takes away from the actual meaning of what this is, because Kulusevski's name should not be in there. It's silly. I feel like if they are going to do it, and if people are really going to get behind it, and I will help promote it now, because I said last night is the straw that broke the back. But I think there needs to be one consistent message, and these guys need to be very clear with everyone what it is. Don't tell us you want change. What's change? Is it we want new owners? Be bold. If it's new owners, be bold. If it's we want the owners to adapt, be bold and say that. Is it that we want the same owners, but we want Levy out? Be bold and say that. I just don't think, Tobes, there can be so many different messages coming from one message, if that makes sense.
I get you. There's too much. There's too much gray area, and I think you're right. There needs to be a base message that everyone can get behind, and then with that, there needs to be a clear plan, schedule, every month, every 2 weeks, every 6 weeks, whatever the cadence is. We're gonna do this. We could be top of the league. We could have just come back from a Champions League game. We could be flying. We could be 8th. We could be 4th. It doesn't matter. I think that's the tough part. Detach results on the pitch away from the sentiment towards the ownership, right? I think if they can do that and they can band together and push one consistent message, I think they'll get more people on board. But I also think more Spurs fans need to do more. If you're frustrated, speak on it. If you don't want to speak on it, go to the protest. Do your bit. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not expecting every Spurs fan to not go to games. That's not even what I'm saying. It's in the end of the day, you love the football club. You didn't start supporting the football club because of Daniel Levy. You're not going to stop supporting the football club because of Daniel Levy. But if you have frustrations, displeasure towards the ownership, speak on it. Or better yet, don't put other people down for speaking on it. And when you see other people trying to create things to try and drum up momentum, don't put them down. See how you can support. That's the way I look at it.
I think the trouble. I think the trouble is, Tobes and Savva, is we're all too emotional, right? If we've bar Saturday's game up until November, the fixtures are favourable, right? So realistically, that's what you mean. That's like what Tobes says. If we suddenly go on a run, and if we get something on, I don't think we will. I know we all say Man City and we go there and we get something. I don't think we do on Saturday, if I'm honest, because the way that they came out last week was frightening. If at best, if we get a draw, but the teams that we're playing, we have opportunities, right? And the emotion will then come back into it. Oh, look, it's okay. We didn't need. There'll be people saying, "Oh, we didn't need Eze. Look at the results. We're 4th in the league or 5th in the league or whatever that looks like, right?" And then we'll come to November and we've got Chelsea, United, Arsenal, Fulham, Newcastle, and then it's going to go the other way. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, we've not won 1 in 5 protests.
But because we know how it is. And if we go back to every single transfer window for the last 3 years, it's been exactly the same. So you're right. We do need to change something. We do need to do something different, because otherwise we're just on this roller coaster. It's happy and everything. Oh, there's all flowers and unicorns and rainbows. And then next 3 games, it's the end of the world. It's all Levy's fault. Everyone gets a slice of the pie, right? And it's not all Levy's fault, but his slice is probably bigger. But we as fans are at fault. There's so many things at fault, but we like you say, we have to take responsibility, but we also have to have a consistent message, and that's where that grey area is, Savva, which you and Tobes and everyone's kind of saying, right? There is that grey area.
I understand there needs to be a consistent message, but at the same time, if you've been a Spurs fan for so long now, I think there is a pattern that happens, right? Like I said on the last show with that Dan the Hotspur Hood, right? I getting excited after Pochettino leaving. That was when you saw a change in the way I've been. I've not been the same since. You know what I mean? And for me, I've just seen the same thing every single time. So I can only go from what I speak for myself, right? So the reason why I said I needed to be at that protest is because I thought I need to be consistent, right? I can't help any other person. I know people say, well, how can you...
Okay, but Alex, what's your message at the protest?
My message
is not change for Tottenham, not Stell, not any of not Brian Daigle. What's your message at the protest? What are you protesting?
My protesting is that I need Tottenham to be consistent in terms of transfer window, the way they play football, the way just to make sure.
Sure, but again, you've answered my question. That's not a pro. So you're not protesting a thing.
But it's just at least I'm there. That's the thing. No, I'm not have a specific. Yeah, that's not
That's my
the
point.
specific
It
thing.
can't grow. Like, I've literally given you 3 different. Like, listen, are you protesting Levy out? Are you protesting ENIC to sell the club? Are you protesting change for Tottenham? Are you protesting that our owners change the way they are? Because, again, a very difficult metric to judge, right? Very difficult, because what you might perceive as change in a transfer window is very different to what Manny might perceive as a change in a transfer window. So this is my point, Alex. I get it. I get that. And fair play to you. Kudos for you to go in. I'm not knocking that.
Oh, no, I didn't go. That's the thing. I should have been. That's why I was giving credit to Connor.
But in general, you do, right? Like, so kudos to going. I'm not knocking anyone that goes, but I'm saying, for me, all of these people who do this protest, they've got to have one message. If it is, be bold. As I said, if it is ENIC, sell the club. Make that your banner. ENIC, please sell. If it is Levy out, if it is change Levy, cool. Tell the world it's change Levy. The problem is you've got some people going there that you see them being interviewed, Alex, down the high road. Some are going, yeah, no, I'm not, I don't really blame Levy, but I would like the club to do this. Other people, God, I hate Levy. He's got to go. Oh my God, these owners need to, there's got to be a message. Like, what was the message from all football fans when they were fighting the Super League and protesting that? What was the one message?
Super League, no. That's what they were saying.
Right, there you go. No. It wasn't, we don't mind the Super League, but we'd like to change the rules. We don't mind the Super League, but can this club join? It was no. It was a simple message. No. I think that needs to be implemented for me to have more buy-in to what they're doing. That's the thing for me personally. I don't know if anyone else agrees or disagrees.
How can the protest succeed if it hasn't got a clear set aim? But what's success? It doesn't. That's what they say. I was just seeing in the chat. Then they're there to express anger. They don't need a detailed plan. Well, they don't need a detail, but they need an aim. They need a target.
Yeah. What's the end goal? How do you know it's worked?
And you've just shown it, because Alex has said why he's there for. I'm super clear why I'm there. For me, there's no question. It's ENIC out. Simple as that for me. But it isn't that for everybody, right?
I just need a chat. I just think for me, I've had enough. I've had enough for a long time, because I've not liked the way that we've been for a long time now. I'm losing my passion on Tottenham at the moment. So for me, I need my football club back.
Well, Alex, were you there? Well,
this is why on.
Oh, hi, Naz.
Hi, mate. Sorry. I thought it was a perfect opportunity for me to get a word. Hi, everyone. This is why, though, we've been saying on various shows and on Tottenham Away last year that the actual, when you call a movement change for Tottenham, what is that change?
Yeah.
And that, which is effectively what you're discussing now. Now, I agree with Chris. For me, it's ENIC out, Levy out. I think they come as a duo. However, I'm not adverse to Levy just stepping down and handing the reins over to another chairman, CEO that will have complete reins of the budget and how the club is run. Because from my experience, every CEO is different. It could be from the same organisation, but the way that one CEO operates can be completely different to another CEO operating. Now, what is evident with Daniel Levy, it's not that he hasn't spent the money, because the facts bear out that they've spent a hell of a lot of money, not only on the infrastructure of Tottenham Hotspur, but also on players. But they spend it so badly that our bang for buck, our return of investment as fans and as a club is so poor that we never see any dividends from it. Right? And what I mean by dividends is trophies, success on the pitch, etc., or star players, whatever people like about football. We just don't get enough of it. We're starved as a fan base. So the message for the protest should be ENIC out, Levy out. All right? And if, let's say it's successful, Levy steps down, then that could be deemed as a win. But Chris is right, and the guys are right. The aim should be unified in that sense. Is that what other options is there aside from ENIC out, Levy out? I mean, let's be honest. What are the other options? A complete sale of the club. We know that's unless they put it up for sale, or unless you get an aggressive takeover type scenario, which I don't think is really that possible with a non-PLC club, then what happens then? So look, I didn't come on to get into the nuance of that. I think it's a discussion for another day. What I did want to take issue with is when the chaps were talking about revenue and how damaging the revenue won't affect Tottenham and the club. Look, I've been in corporate life. I've worked for big companies, etc., etc. And I can tell you that if an organisation suddenly goes down £4.5 million, right, there's no way that doesn't have ripple effects within the organisation and word getting up to the CEO saying that they're down £4.5 million. Don't know what boardrooms you guys have been in, but I can tell you categorically that they will care, right? You don't have a successful organisation that hemorrhages money like that, regardless of how big, whether they're a tier 1 or tier 2 corporation, whether a £500 million or a £5 billion organisation. If an area suddenly drops £4.5 million, there's, the Spanish Inquisition happens as to why they've dropped that money.
Matt, I don't think anyone's saying they wouldn't not care. I think the point is, if we are expecting that a drop of revenue of less than 1%, less than 0.1%, in fact, is going to result in Levy leaving, you're in a different world, mate. It might result in the head of catering.
No, but then the argument is changing, right? I mean, if we're saying that starving the Tottenham Hotspur of revenue money from beer is going to make them leave, obviously that's not going to work, right? But it's a accumulation of various actions that will make a difference. So, it starts off with them not buying beers. It starts off with people not turning up at the stadium. And then it starts having a ripple effect on merchandising. I
think we're on the same page, mate. But for me, the shortest route to that damage is to damage the corporate relationships that they have.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I think we're in complete alignment on that. I just wanted to say, though, that we've got to be careful when we start saying things like that won't work, right, there's an element of finality to that when you say it won't work, right? Because then they think, okay, well, there's no point boycotting games. And I don't think that is the true reflection of what you're meaning in that case. I mean, we've been at the protest. I think I've met you, Chris, as well, right? And I've always made it clear that we need to do more than just protest. It needs to be a barrage of various different levers that a protest group can take on that front. But none of this. One of my massive frustrations, and I've talked about this on length on Tottenham Way, is you need to have effectively a linchpin that drives the protests and the movement, that organises the whole movement together, right? And we don't have that. For all the best within the world with the Change for Tottenham lads, I don't think they've got, experienced heads that are willing to put the head above the parapet and do what is necessary to gain momentum for a protest movement. And that's one of the reasons why the protests have been effectively a failure, because you need to have 3 or 4 really senior heads, right, that have sway in various different parts of the community around Spurs, the fan base, etc., to really organise and mobilise thousands of people. And we just don't have that. And until we have that, I'm beginning to think protesting won't work. However, it always boils down to this. I'd rather die protesting for my club and for it being better than doing nothing at all. And doing nothing at all, I don't advocate at all.
That's the point.
Right? And that's why I turn up to the protests. It may be futile, but I'd rather die trying than just let this situation carry on.
That's the point, Maz. That's the point, because that's what I feel at the moment is what we need to do, regardless what the message is at the moment. This is where that's where people need to have that discussion. But I feel that nothing's changing, regardless what the problem is with that Europa League. That Europa League was because of a manager saving his skin. Let's be honest here, right? Okay, and that has covered up a lot of things that, with the fan base saying, "Oh, we can't do this, we can't do that, we can't do this." When I'm still feeling the same way that I felt how many years ago after Pochettino got sacked, which is not right. I shouldn't be feeling like that after Europa League, which is the best trophy I've seen for a long time. So you're absolutely right, Maz. I'll make you right. This is exactly there's something that needs to continue at the moment because I feel
we need to do something. I don't know what that is, but we need to we absolutely need to unite. You know, there needs to be numbers. You know, I don't think any of us have got the complete answer. What I do know is Savva kindly let me on the stream yesterday after I had the summer off, and then Tottenham away at the moment is on a break, and I vented out, and I woke up today and I don't feel any better. In fact, I feel more angrier than what I did the day before. For me, this is a Sol Campbell moment, right? And in fact, I would argue it's even worse than the Sol Campbell moment, right? Because that was down to just Sol Campbell and his actions, right? Rather than, you know, obviously there's more nuance to it, but on a basic level, it was down to that one individual. This is a hierarchy club problem that bites us nearly every single season for the last 25 years. And this is why I cannot accept the defending of Daniel Levy, because the evidence is so obvious. There's so much that we can go through. But how can you put a defence of what's happened in this scenario? There's no defence, regardless of whether Eze is an Arsenal fan or not. I said this point yesterday. Bergkamp was a bloody Spurs fan. He grew up watching idolising Glenn Hoddle and Tottenham because of what we did in the 80s, etc. Right? And he went to Arsenal. It didn't stop him being an Arsenal legend, did it?
Matt, can I ask you something, please? Because based on the point that you've just made, right? Because this is my point. I think it's Chris's point when he made it a few earlier on, right? This is a business model. This is not a case of one man deciding, right, this is how I'm going to operate things, which then goes back to the same question. If you just want Levy to leave, right, and they bring someone else in, what is to say that the business model just doesn't continue with another person?
That's my issue. Okay, let me answer you. Who implemented the business model?
I think ENIC.
Right. Who owns ENIC? Who owns ENIC?
Lewis is the majority shareholder, and then Levy is the minority shareholder.
So fine, right? So
Levy's just an employee. Yes, he owns 29%, but that doesn't get him his job now. He's just an employee. He can be
correct. No, I understand how the shares work, right? But what I'm trying to say is that Levy and Joe Lewis are joined at the hip.
Yeah.
Right. Therefore, the business model effectively is implemented and endorsed by Daniel Levy. Right.
Oh, yeah,
now, what we don't know, but hold on, Joe Lewis is getting an old man now, right? He's going to pass the reins over to his daughter or his trust or whatever he's going to do, right? What we don't know is we don't know the internal politics and dynamics of that relationship and how decisions are made within the club. But what we do know, right, is Daniel Levy and his actions are evident for everyone to see. So if he steps out of the picture, we don't know whether that business model will change. Like I said, I've worked with many CEOs, right? I've been in a few boardrooms, right? And I can categorically tell you, right, that these typically CEOs are highly successful people, but you never, and even if they're from the same organization, you never get two CEOs that are the same or do the same things. You just don't. Right,
the remit of the board, though. So if the board have set the parameters of this is what we're willing to accept, you can't just come in as a CEO and go, "Well, I'm going to do something completely different."
Well, then it depends on how the board is put together and how many of them have, or what their weighting is on the board, right? In terms of the decision making. Ultimately, as the way Tottenham's run, sorry,
you can't be a lone wolf.
Well, this is the problem with Spurs. Right, because no matter what anyone says on that Tottenham board, aside from Joe Lewis, that that and his daughter, who tells him what to do? No one.
But that's the point, though, isn't it? The reason why he's there for 25 years is because ENIC and the other people who are involved in it are perfectly happy. For
No, I agree. I'm not arguing against that. So, you know, look, I agree with you. Like, ENIC must go. Right? I'm not arguing against that. All I'm saying is what we don't know, right? And there's no way of me proving otherwise. Is if Levy does step down for whatever reason, and someone comes in to replace him, whether the club will change the way it operates. I think it's likely that they will, based on the fact that all CEOs are generally are very different in the way that they run their companies and how much risk, right, they're willing to take and how they analyze risk.
But who appoints the CEO?
Yeah, obviously Joe Lewis. But then, or the trust that is.
That doesn't make any sense, Maz. Why are they going to appoint?
I think Maz. But the point I'm trying to make.
Say again, no, Chris. Say again. What doesn't make any sense?
You think a new CEO is going to do something completely different, but they're appointed by the same people who appointed Levy, who are happy with how Levy's run the company for 25 years.
But you don't know. But Chris, you don't know what influence that Levy has in the decision making. How do you know that Levy isn't persuading Joe Lewis that this is the way the club should be run? Maybe he's the main driver of that.
If they were unhappy with how Levy was running it, they could get rid of him.
They could, yeah, absolutely. But there's a big. I mean, Lubo knows this a lot better than I do. But there's a long history between Joe Lewis's family and Daniel Levy's family, right? It might not be as easy as that. You know, it might not be as easy as that. Look, the only way I can see things changing, I agree with you, is ENIC going. Of course, selling the club and going. I agree with you on that. But what we don't know is if Levy steps down and the Lewis family appoints another custodian of Tottenham to look after it and run it, whether or not things, you know, it's more than likely that some aspects will change. Maybe the risk appetite changes. Maybe they think, maybe the new CEO comes in and goes, you know what, our 42% salary to revenue turnover, that's a bit low, to be honest. I don't think Daniel made the right decision here. Let's raise it up to in line with, I don't know, the top 6 clubs rather than, you know, being at the bottom of the table. We just don't know that, Chris.
We don't know it because it's a hypothetical, but let me just give you a scenario. You sound like you're a guy who's been in charge of people, right? You've got someone who reports into you who's done a brilliant job for 20 years and they come to you and say, I'm retiring next week. And you then go, well, I need to replace that guy. Who are you going to replace him with? You're going to go, he's done a brilliant job. I'm going to replace him with someone who's going to do exactly the same job. You're not going to go, we'll just appoint someone to do it completely differently.
Well, no, but okay. I have managed people, and I've managed people globally, right? And I've had a large P&L with many zeros on the end. And I can guarantee you that when you're making a decision like that, that you'll either have a succession plan in place when that person's going to leave, right? Either you promote internally, or you go to the market and you interview, right? Or you poach from a competitor. The profile.
You don't go for a completely different profile, do you? If you've got someone.
No. But that's exactly the point I was going to say. So in terms of the profile of the profiling of the person you're going to go for, there'll be obviously a profile that you go for in terms of what skill sets and what achievements they've done in the past that match the profile of the person that's just left. Or you pivot as a company and you say, right, these are the new goals we want to achieve with this change, right? And you bring someone in. But Chris, the hypothetical you're raising here, it changes from business to business, right? A technology company is going to be completely different to a company in the charity sector, completely different to a sports entertainment business.
Sure. I'm not saying that it's impossible because it's a hypothetical. We can't say that ENIC won't suddenly pivot and suddenly want to win the Premier League and put millions into it. But what we do have is 25 years of evidence of what they are happy with as a business. And
exactly.
And I agree with that. And look. I'm just trying to pose a slightly different take on the scenario, right? You believe that by Daniel Levy stepping down, nothing's going to change, and I think maybe the likelihood is that you're correct. Right?
I wouldn't say nothing, but I think we're talking about minutiae.
Yeah, minutiae. Yeah, right. And I agree with you. I would prefer that ENIC sell up, and there's a wholesale change of the hierarchy and the ownership. I'm completely with you on that, Chris. But I wouldn't also be unhappy as a first step that if there was a change at the top by Daniel Levy stepping down, the likelihood is that isn't going to happen. And I agree with you on that. But I can't not say that point, though, can I? I've got to say what potentially may happen.
It's better than nothing. I'll give you that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. Would anybody like to roll the dice and have another and get another owner, knowing full well that it might be a big risk? You might get somebody that, I'm just asking the question out there, knowing full well that you might have an owner that might be worse than Daniel Levy or somebody. I'm just asking the question.
I think if the whole thing is changing, if the whole thing is changing, if we're saying we've got a new owner, you know, we've got Joe Bloggs PLC coming in and they're going to implement Joe Bloggs as the new CEO, chairman of the football club. Sure, I think we roll the dice. Now, there's always that argument. You're right, Alex. There's always that argument that is the grass greener on the other side. I think now people have had so many years of this that I think everyone's kind of like, you know what? I'll give that grass a go. You know, I'll give that grass a go. And the worst that can happen, I don't know. The club's not going to get relegated. We've got far too much money for that. What's the worst that can happen? One trophy in 17 years. We're buying people. We're being linked again with people like Tyler Dibling every window. Who wouldn't be able to get Tyler Dibling over the line? Do you know what I mean? So I agree, Alex. I would give it a go. I would roll the dice. But there are still an army of people that seem to really like everything that these owners do. There are people that use the stadium as evidence of a brilliant run football club. There are people that look at the revenue coming in as a brilliant, as evidence of a brilliantly run football club. Look, as I said, I was willing, Alex, this window, I was willing to give them that few months to say, right, come on then, Champions League, show us. The video came out. You know, it looked like a Tinder date between Vinay and Levy. The video came out. Oh, you're one of the hardest working people I know. Oh, you're such a good chairman, bro. Brilliant. Okay, cool. Show us. That hasn't materialized. Now, done. And I think a lot of people overnight, guys, a lot of people that were on the edge, I think they've tipped. And I don't think that's a bad thing, but it's whether or not they tip back. If we win the first 5 games of the season, do they tip back? If we're sitting at the top of the table, 5 wins from 5 games, 15 points, Richarlison's got 9 goals in 5 games. Do you know what I mean? Papa Sarr's got 4 goals. Are we all going to sit there and go, these owners? And
Richarlison signs a new contract. Richarlison signs a new contract. You know what's going to happen, Savva. You know what's going to happen, Savva, if we do that. You know.
I predicted on the show last night for anyone that watched. I think Maz was on with me at the time, saying we will announce a new contract in this next week. We absolutely will. We announced 2 new contracts 24 hours before the Eze deal collapsed. Right? We will announce something in the next week that will be designed to kind of say, hey, the magician code, bit of misdirection. Don't look over there. Look at this new contract. People go, oh, really glad that Bergvall signed a new deal. Really glad that whoever it is to sign a new deal. It's what we do. So, yes, is the answer. Long-winded answer. Yes, roll the dice. But they've got to want to sell it. I've always said this. They've got to want to sell it, and they've got to have a buyer willing to pay that money. And until those 2 things simultaneously happen, there's no deal, is there?
It's just a philosophical question, that was. Because
yeah, sure, I get it. Completely get it.
Because I don't think that's going to happen. But it's just, I think this, because I've had one person that is a very loyal follower on my channel said, I'm done. And that's the first time I've seen it. Yeah. I'm done. The Eze deal was the one that broke the camel's back. That one, just I'm not having it. You know what?
I'll tell you why, Alex and everyone. I think, and obviously I've had a lot of time to stew on it. I think the reason why everyone is so upset is, one, it's reminiscent for me of the Sol Campbell saga, but 2, what it basically tells the fans is we can't get top players into the club anymore. Like the days of buying the Berbatovs and the Modric's and the Klinsmans and the Ginolas and whoever else is everyone's favourite player, they're gone. They're gone. But when you know, maybe Kudus is a bit of an outlier because we know, and he's a good player that we signed. But you know, who else have we really signed that's got everyone excited?
Though, Baz. We were lucky with Kudus because West Ham were desperate to sell, right? And West Ham don't normally sell players to us as well. It seemed like to me that they were just desperate to sell, and West Ham fans are not happy with their owners at the moment because of what we did. And Paulinho was an easy one. Let's be honest here, that was an easy one for us to do. That was a straightforward one.
But
really,
what I'm getting to is I think that the fact that we failed so dramatically with signing, you know, he's not even an elite player. He's just a top quality player in the Premier League. The fact that we failed, and we failed now potentially 3 times with Savio, Morgan Gibbs-White, and now Eze, just sort of tells the fan base that we can't get this business done. And other clubs around us are getting good deals done. I mean, last year, Aston Villa done really good business. Are they bigger than us at the moment? Probably not. You know,
not in the Forest.
Nottingham Forest are doing decent business. Okay, they're not buying elite players, but at least they're ambitious. They're showing ambition. At least.
Can I ask a question? Big up to Marlon from Spurs Kings. He said, "Can you ask this for me?" So I'm going to ask it. Talking about the protests, it's fine. It feels like a good time to ask this question. If the protests aren't the avenue for success for the fans who want change, are there any alternatives? Like, how do people make their voices known if it's not going to be the protests, or is it that?
But Chris, I think that's a fantastic question, right? I had an argument with Savva. Savva, you probably remember this, right? When Savva said, we were arguing about, Savva was saying protests don't work. I was saying, no, Savva, they do work. And when we concluded, I said to Savva, if you're not willing to protest, why even be a fan? If you're not going to fight for the club. Now, obviously, I didn't mean that Savva's not a fan or not fighting for the club, but that's what we ended up on, wasn't it, Savva, in the end, right? And then we went off to another topic. I feel that protesting is really the only avenue. Now, there's different forms of protesting, you got chaps have identified it earlier. You know, you can stop spending your money, you can not turn up to games, or you can demonstrate outside the stadium. But as fans, that's the only avenue you have. You have to vote with your wallet, and you have to shout loudly. And you know, I'm not going to condone violence. I never would do that. But then that's the final step, isn't it? You know, but we obviously none of us want that. But I think they're the only avenues available to us.
This is where we lose it, isn't it? Because obviously you can't. I'll never accept that, unfortunately. But I get what you're. I can't accept that, unfortunately.
You definitely need to look at all avenues, right? The reason why we were making a point about visibility and hitting the pockets of these corporate entities that are tuning in to look at the way things are going, care more about the perception, is because even if you just look all the way north of the border with Manchester United, how long did they protest for by shouting and by buying scarves and by, you know, saying we want the Glazers out, etc. And at the time they couldn't care less. They couldn't care less because all they looked at was their share price going up and up and up and up. In my opinion, obviously, what you have to do as a first step, because Levy is at the stadium every single week. Every single week that we're playing, he is there. Let him turn up to the stadium, and even if it's such a big thing for us to boycott a full game, which you're not going to get, again, it's tough to get, the buy-in from everyone else. Whatever minute it is, everyone walk out for X amount of time. That, for me, has such an impact with all the global marketing and TV deals and the globality of the cameras that are panned at Spurs at that point in time. It will go such a long way as a first step that I think that's the only way to go out as a start. And obviously, if we amalgamate that with other stuff, we do. But I genuinely think that hits them much harder.
I think the way that changed, and again, I don't get used to it change for Tottenham. I think the way that they did it last time, that was so effective with getting that banner in the stadium, and the way they did it and got the press over it. I think that was more effective. I just don't think that is realistic for people to just protest, not turn up, just leaving their seats. I just don't think that's going to happen, because there's always going to be somebody that is always going to be always wanting to take that seat. You know what I mean? Right? So I just don't see it, because even when there's loads of tickets available on the exchange, that stadium will always get filled. Because I mean, I remember last time when I gone into the stadium, like the first game, I only got my ticket on the Saturday morning, right? When that's the first game of Thomas Frank, right? So for me, I don't think that's ever. I just don't think there's always going to be somebody that's going to take that ticket, regardless. You know what I mean? I think there's always going to be that someone's going to take that ticket.
But they're not, Alex, because there's plenty of seats open. We've seen it today. No one's buying tickets.
Yeah, but it's filled though, Nick. It's always filled, because that was filled still on Saturday. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I agree with you. It's not.
The Sodden factor has gone. So there's hardly any Koreans buying tickets that they would have done from that. There's tickets available for all the games are available. They're not sold out.
Yeah, mine didn't sell for the first game. I couldn't go. Didn't sell. But I just literally thought of something I want to run by you guys, because I sort of agree with Alex's point. When you've got 60,000 people there, it gets quite diluted. Like the effect of a couple of thousand people doing anything isn't massive. But I don't know if anyone saw what the Sheffield Wednesday fans did for their first game of the season at Leicester. Yeah. So they're away, right? They didn't go to their seats for the first, I don't even know how long it was, first 10, 15 minutes. And the visuals of them all piling in, and then all the Leicester fans clap them. Sheffield Wednesday is a bit of a different scenario, because their very existence is up for debate or under threat. So I can understand why the Leicester fans applauded them. I'm not necessarily expecting that the fans would do that. But it just made me think then, maybe that's a better avenue and something changed for Tottenham should consider, because the away fans are the more hardcore. So I think you might get more of a buy-in from them to go, you know what, probably too late for City this week, but at an away game, let's not go in for the first 15 minutes. Let's go in en masse for the first 15, and then that will be shown on TV, and then you start momentum from there.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. That's why singing in the stadium, singing "Leave You Out" and stuff like that is a great tool. If anything, just for the optics.
Yeah.
And I guess on a more positive front, what we have seen is that even the media sort of given up on Spurs in terms of ever changing as a club, or we're the butt of all the jokes. There's no doubt that the brand has suffered because of what Levy's done. The word Spursing is forever engraved now in the Oxford Dictionary. So that's a positive. The narrative has changed dramatically. A lot more pundits now know what's happened to Spurs and why the way we are. Whereas 5-10 years ago, you would have, they'll be saying, no, everything's fine. Look at this, look at that. Giving a staunch defence of the ownership. I think that's well and truly dead now. I mean, the loss of the Spurs chat on TalkSport was evident. I mean, even Gavi and what's his name, Brazil, they were like, fucking hell, if you can't land this guy, then what are you doing as a club type thing? So
the problem is that what we'll do though next game, Bergvall, great player. You know what I mean? Like, all the best. He got past a few players today when he didn't get past anyone. You know what I mean? Oh no, he's young. Yeah, you know what I mean? You know, this is what's going to happen. It's Man City, Bournemouth, and all these teams. You know what I mean? You can see it every single time because I know his fan base. That's the problem.
Richarlison, Alex, he scores 2 goals and everyone's gassing Richarlison.
Savva is right.
I'm negative.
What I love what Savva says is when he says you have the club you deserve. As long as fans keep accepting these crap players at Tottenham, then we're never gonna. That's one of the reasons why we can't get numbers at protests, because you have a large section of the fan base that don't mind what's happening, and that is just I'm not wired that way.
Maz, do you know? So I was in a WhatsApp group last week. I'm not in any anymore because they just get silly. I was in a WhatsApp group last week, and after Richarlison scored 2 goals, the first messages I start getting are, "Where's the apologies to Richie?" And I'm like, "Sorry, apologies for what? He's put you in the mud. What the guy's been here 3 seasons. He has a good game. Oh, but it's not one good game, is it?" I'm like, "Well, I can't remember many good games." And then you start getting all the excuses. "Oh, but this is the first time we're seeing him fit." I mean, what nonsense is that? He's played loads of games for us. Then you get, "Oh, but if he can stay fit, he's got 20 goals a year in him." Okay, so I show 10 years of evidence in his career that he's never hit 20 goals in all competitions anywhere. "Oh, but he spent some time on the left." We do this with him. As I call it out, Lubo does it with players like Archie Gray, right? You've got people that do it with Bergvall, decent young player who could build and grow into a great player. But straight away, we don't need number 10. We've got Bergvall. Like, this is what we do, Maz. And this is the problem. When I've always said I don't think the numbers will ever get there, is because our fans accept anything. People will argue that Vicario is a world-class goalkeeper, right? We will argue that Bergvall is the best young player in the world because Barcelona showed some interest in him. We will buy Tyler Dibling, Maz, and what will happen is we'll have how many people making videos about, "Oh my God, the reason Spurs want Dibling, what you don't know about Dibling, the hidden talent is." This is what we do. Rather than everyone going, "What? What are we doing?" That's the thing. So if we can't all agree on what a good footballer is, how can we all agree that everyone needs to protest?
Yeah, indeed. I hear you. It's a massive philosophical problem. Like it's an ethos problem, isn't it? It's like a lot of other fan bases, they're all united by one thing. So, for example, Liverpool demand success. They must win, right? And they won't accept anything else apart from winning, right? The same with Man United. They demand success. They demand good players. They demand winning. We don't demand it. The fact that we don't demand us to win something or finish as high up in the league as possible, and we're happy just challenging, that in itself is the problem. It's just the wrong attitude. It's the wrong mindset. Yeah, you're in a competitive league. Look, let's say I was a karate expert and I went into a competition. If I didn't have the belief that I could, let's say, reach the finals or win, then what am I doing? I'm just competing for the sake of competing. That might be okay for 1 or 2 tournaments, but after the 3rd and 4th one, when you're getting beaten the shit out of, what's the point of going back for the 5th just to get beaten again? Not cut out for it.
Maz, a thing that gets me, I do need to wrap up the show in 5 minutes, guys, but the thing that gets me, and of course, just to mention that Matt Law has reiterated the point that many reports have over the last 48 hours, that we are trying for Magnus Akalush of Monaco. By the way, I'd be really happy if we pulled that one off. Pause. But we've, this comment is quite true, is when you demand better, you're called negative, right? When I say in group chats, I don't want Richarlison up front. This is the problem with you guys. You're negative. This is the problem. We're negative for wanting better. At other clubs, it's a prerequisite. It's a prerequisite. Chelsea fans do not lose their mind over players being sold after being at the club for 1 or 2 years. Yeah? You come in, you're not good enough, go. Look right now. Odegaard, just for example, not having a pop at him. In a club like Chelsea, they would happily sell an Odegaard after a year. no one would blink or bat an eyelid, right, Maz? No one. None of their fans.
Yeah, correct. My best mate's a Chelsea fan.
Right? So Chelsea fans would go, okay, we bought him for 30, we sold him for 40, fair play, see you later, who's next? At Spurs, we all go, you know what? Tell you what, give him a couple of years. I reckon in 2 to 3 years, you know what? Not just him, I reckon, give Gray 2 to 3 years. You know what? Give Gray 2 to 3 years. This is what we do. We don't want the best. We don't.
It's jam tomorrow all the time, isn't it? Jam tomorrow.
It's always tomorrow. It's like when I was younger, you know, and I'm like, I remember at the age of 15 asking my mum if I could go to one of the Greek islands with some of the boys that were allowed to go at that age. And my mum was like, there is no way you're going on a holiday at 15 on your own with your mates. Oh, why not? Give it a couple of years. Give it a couple of years. It's always a couple of years. Couple of years. Then what happens? Some of those players don't turn out to be great, and then those same fans go, but they don't back the manager. Well, which one is it? Do you want these young players that you all think are going to be great, or do you want the players to come in now? I don't know, man. I don't know.
Chris, you know when Savva was saying, should I get you a job at Spurs? I think you're needed, mate. I think you need to do some root cause analysis, like all throughout the whole club, sort them out.
Very much my job.
But it is what it is, isn't it?
I'll end on this because I know you want to end the show, Savva. I've slept on it. I've woken up. I'm still massive. I don't think I've been as angry as. I mean, I've been obviously angry in the last 5-6 years of YouTubing, right? But I think this event, even though it's not the biggest, probably hurts the most. Because for me, it mimics the Sol Campbell thing in so many different ways. And the fact that we've just lost out to our rivals and giving them bragging rights. And we're the club that actually won something last year. You know, we're a bigger club than them in Europe in terms of winning things, right? But yet we still get overshadowed. When it should be our year, that sliding doors moment where we can just make a difference, do something just to give us a little bit of happiness after we just had that wonderful success from last season. What do we go and do? You know, we get a couple of good players in, right? But we miss out on the 3 players that are really going to transform our fortunes going forward for the next 2-3 years. And that's why this whole scenario is just like you said, it's where do we go from here? You know, we can't carry on like this. Otherwise, we might as well just stop, you know, celebrate that we're finishing 10th every year and act like, I don't know, a mid-table club and just be happy with that.
Maz, that's why we're very philosophical after the cup win. That's what we're saying at the moment. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, because it was their time to really prove themselves at the end of the day. Show some mettle and you know, show some ambition. And like I say, if you've got evidence of it over how many years now that you're not going to get top players, there's only so much you can deal with it. You know what I mean? Like I said, you know. So that's why I'm not as angry as everybody else at the moment. You know what I mean? So you know,
Alex, I'll be honest. My anger's kind of turned into just resentment.
Yeah, that's the thing.
If I'm honest, the anger last night was real because it was that hope that, are we doing things differently? The fact that we're not, then you start hearing these links with very average, like some of the reports saying this morning, we're going to try and hijack El Canoes. And you think, really, we're going to hijack the player that Crystal Palace was signing to replace the guy we were trying to buy? Is that really where we're going with this? But, deflation. Yeah, I agree with that, Mafuz. I think more deflated. But look, let me do some super chats. And by the way, Spurs 5 is going to be a little bit tasty tonight, isn't it? That should be fun. Big up to Mr. MB, who said Eze sold for 67 million, Dibling for 50 million. Mate, if we buy Dibling at 50 million, we are the worst run club in the country. I don't care what anyone wants to tell me about balance sheets, Excel spreadsheets, profit, revenue. I don't care. That is just beyond ridiculous. Big up to you, my man. Anup was coming again, very generous today. Said Mitoma or Kevin Shah down the left is a good option. Toma class, Kevin breakout season. Why go for Tyler when already have Moore and Yang? Listen, I don't disagree with you on Matoma. I just think we've kind of left it really late to go to Brighton and take one of their best players with 11 days to go. This is the problem. When you move this late, Anoop, your options go like that to that. This is the problem. Maybe that's why we're ending up with Diblings. But let's see. Can we get an Akalush? He's a very good player. Can Spurs now go hell for leather and pay whatever City want for Savio? Soften the blow. This is what they need to do. Right now, somebody made a great point last night. They said, right, this, I think it was Stel actually, said, this 11 days is going to show us. Show us. If you mean change, if you want to be different, Levy, show us in this last 11 days. Pay what you need to get this sorted. Big up to you, Anu. Big up. He's coming again and said if Levy hadn't met Enix's expectations, he would have been fired long ago. Removing Levy won't change much on a large scale. I agree with that. I think that's why I've said I think it all needs to change or none of it. That's only my opinion, just a humble opinion. Big up to you. Ian JD said if people think Levy's a good businessman, why when other teams won't do business with you because of the way Levy is, how is he a good businessman? I think what a lot of people are saying is he's a very good businessman away from the football. I think that's what they're saying, Ian, in terms of the commercial deals and the stadium. And he is the football side. He isn't. Big up to you, Ian. I agree with you, my man. Big up to Daniel, who has said, Levy is smart, Savva. Your season ticket gets forfeited if you miss a certain amount of games, 5, I believe, meaning it's pretty hard to properly protest. It only strengthens the cause. It's tough to protest. It's very, very tough. It's going to need a bit of smart thinking, bit of outside the box thinking. Big up to you, my man. And last but not least, big up to Phil Coys. Phil, I still blame you because all summer when you were telling me all last season, I want Tell. Spurs spent money on Tell when the money could have been spent better elsewhere, as I said. Take care, Phil. Really appreciate that. Guys, girls, thank you very much for all coming on. Really appreciate that. One last push. There's still 1,400 of you in here, and we're 70 subscribers away from 22K. 70. That's, I can't even work it out. What, 5% of you in here? Even less than that. So please smash that button. Be much appreciated. I'm going to send you over to Kaz as well at the moment. So when you get over to see Kaz, please smash the like button. Please say Savva Raid. I'll be back. I think I've got an hour between 7 and 8 and then on this channel, and then 8 until 10 is the Spurs 5. And I've got a video premiering at 3. So if you want to see me ranting and not happy, which is quite entertaining for some, that video will be going live at 3. Chris, thank you very much. Mr. Box Office, thank you. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Maz. Thank you, Connor came on. Thank you, Manny. Thank you, Tobes.
The 2 marks. 2 marks.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. I think I'm missing someone, but
yeah,
thank
Nick,
you. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Take care. And as always, come on, you Spurs.